Hello guys, what is up? Good morning everybody. Welcome back to another live stream. कैसे सब लोग? Are you guys ready for some goat pass plays? क्या बोलती पब्लिक? क्या बोलती? कैसे हो चीचा लोग? आसपास कौन सी टीम में? लेव जुड़वा इज बैक. डिड यू मिस मी? कैसे मेरे छोटे भाई? बिंक्स का वोकल फैन फ्रॉम जर्मनी. लव यू. रेस्ट लिए? हाँ, अभी मैं 5 घंटा सो के आया हूँ. बिंक्स भाई आज आसपास कितना किल्स करेगा? मेरे हिसाब से 30 मिनिमम. मेरे हिसाब से 30 मिनिमम करेगा. मिनिमम मतलब हु विल विन वाला सीन है. देखो, आसपास जीतेगा या फिर G2 जीतेगा. सिंपल बात है. सिंपल बात है. बिग फैन फ्रॉम पाक. कैसे हो एयन भाई? क्या हाल चाल? सब बढ़िया? कैसे जानकर सब बढ़िया? कैसे आसपास मारेगा आज? आसपास मेरे जैसे खेलेगा मेरे हिसाब से. बस उसकी टीममेट्स अच्छी रहेंगी. ट्वेंटी मिनट ब्रेक में क्या किया? खाना खाया. खाना खाया तेरे भाई ने. खाना खाया. खाना आओ.
Le damos la bienvenida a Leviatan.
लेट्स गो बेबी. आज बात चढ़ो. किंगी काफी इनके लिए. बात तो है वैसे. बात तो है भाई. किंगी दी निनी आर जॉइनिंग. निनी बहुत मारेगा आसपास. लेट्स गो. क्या खाया? प्रोटीन.
And now let's bring out their opponents. Make some noise for G2 Esports.
Let's forget about what you heard, probably ain't true. This ain't go to, cause you know it's G2. Can't be
भाई ये लोग का गाना बाप है बे. भाई ये लोग का गाना बाप है. कुछ भी बोलो. I the bundle. Bye.
Cause you know we titans in this game, ain't no contest. If we take it to the game, turn a wild west. We ain't faking what I claim, it's a wild threat. No rook, we been a vet. Now check the mindset, by the name of G2. How to take over the world, how we come through. You just follow in the herd, we don't have to. Let's forget about what you heard, probably ain't true. This ain't go to, cause you know it's G2. How to take over the world, how we come through. You just follow in the herd, we don't have to.
राजा टेंशन ना ले.
Probably ain't true. This ain't go to,
भाई
cause you know
सेक्सी है.
it's G2. Can't be called a newcomer.
रिप्लाई कर दो. हाउस इज इमरान.
Leviatan wants to continue to prove that they are the
Let's
monster
go,
of the Americas
baby.
region. Meanwhile, G2 Esports have an opportunity here. We talked about it yesterday with MIBR maybe
भाई
being able to
अंदर
pull
से
the
फील आ
upset,
रहा है.
maybe
13-0.
pulling some inspiration from what we saw.
13-0 वाला फील आ रहा है अंदर से. 13-0.
But if there's one thing that we've learned about this Super Week is that honestly anything is really possible.
Look, anything is possible, but this is also Leviatan, who I think is looking like our hottest team at the moment, off of the heavy hitters.
But what
they have
happens if
just taken
G2
down.
comes out of the gate swinging and Leviatan get rattled? Do you think
भाई
that
मेरे को
this,
एक
that could
फॉर्मेट
be a
मारना पड़ेगा.
bit-
पीसी
so
लग रहा है.
experienced on this roster. I don't really expect that to happen. In my mind right now, I'm kind of writing off that Cloud9 game. It's the first of their season. They came
Vanakkam
out,
Bunks,
they
bye.
stumbled,
Vanakkam.
and they've looked incredible since.
I mean, they talked about how they fixed their fundamentals off of that loss. So I feel like that loss, yeah, it may have been
But
just a
इसका
bad
next
day,
match
but
बहुत
also they needed that to
interesting
become
होने वाला
the
है.
team
Loud
version
और
that they are
Crew का.
today. So I think it's going to be really good. And
मेरे को
actually,
लग
I
रहा है
never
भाई
talked
Crew
about this, but
जीतेगा
for a
आज.
short period of time, I had Ito Fata as my coach
Huh?
on an org that we shall not
Okay.
name. And I know that his prep is dangerously
अंदर से
good. Everything
feeling आ रही
is
है।
very thought out. So going into these maps specifically against G2, where you might have techs
मतलब आपका
understanding
एनर्जी इतना पॉजिटिव है
how
लेवी
Valve plays, I think it's
जीटू के
really
स्टार
scary.
प्लेयर्स
See, I
कौन
think
है
that's interesting
जीटू के
too,
प्लेयर्स
especially
अच्छे
because
हैं
we're starting things out on Breeze. And the last time we saw G2 play this was 2 months ago, right? But before
Crew versus
IC
इसका
era,
क्या
they
लग
were
रहा है
playing
क्या?
Leaf on the Yoru. They were playing a Harbor as a second smoke.
G2
Since
clean
then,
तो
I
खेल रहा है।
think a
G2
lot
भी
of
अभी
teams that
जीता
are
ना,
playing
सेन को
the Yoru still have a jet
पीड़े
alongside.
को
If
हराया,
you're playing a
EG
second
को हराया,
smoker, it's usually something
सेन
like
को
an
भी हराया
Astra, right?
G2
So you
ने
get those
वैसे।
circle smokes and do a little comboing with that Yoru.
लेकिन
And I'm
प्रॉब्लम है
really
कि ये लोग
wondering what
MIBR
it
से
means
हार
for G2 as a team. Like, do we see Leaf going into a Cypher role, or are they playing something more like a Gen G and
भाई
going
सिंपल
no
बात है भाई
Yeah,
अगर
that
लीफ
is a big
मारेगा और
question.
जोनपी
And I
मारेगा
think kind of
और
following up
वैलिन
off of
मारेगा
that,
ये
it's
तीन
all
मारेगा तो
surrounding Icy.
क्लोज जाएगा
If they're playing into this map, it's very likely that he's playing into the jet role unless they go for a very
Hello, mate.
weird composition, or at least a slightly different off-meta one than what most of these teams are bringing. Then there's
Zen का
questions
टेंशन मत
around
लो,
him,
Zen
right?
जीत गया।
He's yet to have that standout game that we were promised.
Yeah, and speaking of the jet rolls, when
मैं
we've seen
जिसको
Aspas on
मैं
that
हर
defense
लाइव
side,
में
he's done
देखता हूँ
such a
love
great
you love you
job
too
with that operator,
Tendence
which I
qualify
feel
they will
is a
qualify they
must
need to win
for a
2
map
matches
like Breeze, and when you put that up against Icy, I don't know 100% if he's going to be able to do the same amount of damage on that operator.
I think I know 100% that he's not going to be able to do the same amount of damage. Aspas
We're
is
talking about
the best
Aspas.
player in the league.
Without a doubt here, Agent Select now starting to
भाई
come
बता
through.
ईयरफोन्स और हेडफोन दोनों की चाहिए हेडफोन नॉइज कैंसलेशन के लिए प्लस माइक और ईयरफोन्स इन गेम
coming into
साउंड
this one as an unknown quantity here, which could be something that works to their advantage potentially if they try and throw a spanner into the works. But that being said,
मेरे हिसाब से ये
we
सबसे
keep
ज्यादा टाइम
reiterating
लग
it.
रहा
It's going to be tough
गेम
to
इससे
pull that
जल्दी
off
खत्म
against
होएगा
Leviatan of all teams.
Yeah, and really, I'm just waiting to see what we get Leaf locking in here, because
Yeah,
I think this
they'll
would
tell
be
us where we're going.
This would be a great map to
आज
see
से
if they
पता
wanted to
चलेगा
play
कैसे रहेगा
the
क्रू
double
अच्छा
duelist, but
अच्छा
with
टीम है
Valen looking over towards the Harbor, that seems maybe a little bit less likely to me. Harbor sort of helps you in your
If you
scaling
had,
all the time with those push walls.
had to make
which
a
makes that
dream
double
team,
dive maybe
would
slightly
pick
unnecessary.
Yeah, I think
by
the,
your
the
side
thing about
जो
having
भी
double control on
मास्टर
this map
जीतेगा
is
I'll
the
pick
amount
them
of fakes and mid-rounding that you can do gives you just so many more options. And for someone like Valen who loves to mid-round call around these things, I think it's going to work out great for you.
And with Leaf
बस
locking
मैं
Cypher, that
आपको
means
कैसे
Icy
मिल
is going
सकता
to be on
हूँ
that primary
यार कोई
duelist,
इवेंट
being
में
the
मीटअप
solo
मीटअप रहेगा
dive
तब
player
मिल
in this
सकते हैं
composition.
Still remains to be seen whether or not that is the Yoru like they were running previously with Leaf on that one, or it could be something like the Jet. But I may be
शर्म
a
करा आरुष
fan
भाई
of the Yoru. Yep, happy to see that one locked in.
And I think the
26
Yoru
के
has
बाद no
looked
Watchparty?
solid for
क्यों?
Icy. He's
EME
played a
और वो
lot
है
of
ना?
it before. We
Even
heard
on like bind.
Yeah, we heard in that post
भाई
match
मैं
interview
रुका हूँ
from
बे
Ethan
एक
as
बार
well.
पैसिफिक
So
खत्म हो
many
जाएगा ना
options,
मेरा
so
गेमिंग
much
चालू हो
freedom.
जाएगा मैं
Hoping
हेवी
to see a
ग्राइंड करना
stronger
वाला
game
हूँ
from him, but he's
Next
up
time.
against the GOAT, Aspas.
It's
ये
gonna
सब
be
देख
an
के ना मेरे को
exciting
बहुत मन
matchup
कर रहा है खेलने को
regardless. Let's go ahead and send it over to your casters after 5
I
straight
to manage
days.
game as
One
well
can
as
say
study.
they
I'll
might be a
follow
little
it, please.
eepy. It's bread and
Make a
side
good
show.
timetable, bro. Like play only for
Yeah, we're just two little
2
guys.
hours
We
max.
might be a little bit
Dो,
EP.
2 hours is enough.
It feels
Just play for 2
illegal to
hours.
say that when we are approaching the age of 30, to describe ourselves as EP. But yeah, it's near
Have
the end of the
fun,
season. Here we
IRL.
are, and what a match we've got.
Play
to
with
really
your
set that
friends and
stage, I
all
think,
for
as well, because this is
2 hours.
I would say
and
it's a must-win for
rest
both
of
these
the
teams. They're
time
going to be
study.
thinking about it in that kind of fashion, not in terms of eliminating some of them from playoff contention.
Yeah.
But if they do win it, it sets their sights towards playoffs. And I think for LEV, if they win it, they will make playoffs. For G2, they're in a group with some hotly contested teams. You know, currently Crew sitting at 3-1.
इस बार करना Radiant Grind.
3-1, C9
देखते
3-1.
हैं।
They need this
इस
win
बार
to
भी
get
NH
themselves
के
up
क्योंकि
there,
मैं
but
next
we
month
are
वापस
staying
नहीं हूँ।
contention of it.
The whole day
Radiant
today
Loyal का
is
grind
big
तो
for
NH
LATAM fans because both of the LATAM teams are in a great
आपका बाकी
position
सबसे aim थोड़ा
to get some
casual है।
big wins. But
आता
also
जाता है
Sen
बे,
fans
problem वो
should be
है।
rooting on for
Consistent
LEV
नहीं
here
होगा।
because G2 getting wins is bad for Sen at the bottom of the table. So all of these kind of things. And listen, one of our big stories is going to be who can shut down Aspas. Is he just going to run rampant?
पोल में
And
जिसका नाम तो
immediately he
पहले
goes
गया
down. Yeah. Mazzino baited into making another re-clear play as well, thinking that G2 would probably leave that area after they got the early pick. And so, listen, this pistol round is basically wraps already. G2 are going to be able to get in, get the plant, and play a post plant in a 5v3. And Leaf, miles away, can connect on some kind of post plant flank as well. You couldn't write a better beginning for G2.
No, you really couldn't.
GB was asking the question, what
अरे
happens if this team gets out to a strong start and slaps down LEV early? Oh, this is looking good at the beginning.
One of the questions I had was that who was going to be shutting down the monster player that is Aspas. Now, Leaf,
Wait,
is that...
defuse.
Hold on. They're just defusing! There's no shot! They're getting away with that!
भाई पांचों बंदे जिंदा थे
The viper of what's going on?
What happened there?
G2, how have you let that slip?
भाई 5 बंदे जिंदा थे.
What occurred?
I mean, they've got.
I just assumed that was wraps. I'm not gonna lie. I assumed that was wraps. It missed.
Oh.
Selena missed. Good catch.
I mean, Lev know that they've gotten away with it.
That's unbelievable, to be honest. Yeah, well,
I mean, if Tex was not already talking his talk, he's gonna be after that mess up from G2.
That's right, the revenge match. Tex versus his former teams. But, you know, listen, he didn't seem too hot on it, the overall narrative. We're trying to shove it down his neck. King definitely was, and his team definitely was. You know, Jonah P's managed to go walkabouts through mid, and there's that gap into the play, which Con was unaware of. So he will fall and get punished, and an upgrade acquired for Jonah P, but
Nice,
just like that.
Speaking
nice,
of players
good,
in
good.
gaps, while this fight's going on, there's
Not so
also
good.
Leaf all the way back
भाई
into
लिफ्ट
spawn
ने
has
क्या
picked up
सिक्सी मारा है?
Messina.
And so hold on about this is a 2 versus 2. Valen sticking his plant. Doesn't expect this one though. Aspas is spotted. Brooks player crossed up.
God.
Takes the peak. Very much alone here, so it draws it into that 1v2 for Trent. Only with the Sheriff, 2 shot darts, dart. Not really planted for him, so he has to just open himself up wide into the angle.
A nice try from G2, but early on here, we are actually seeing gaps in what Lev are going for.
रेजी से मैं पढ़ता हूँ. बेटे आज पार्टी चल रही है.
G2 are able to walk a player. They make it feel like a big A main push, and they're able to walk a player double door and walk a player up mid into nest. Look at this.
Yeah.
Massive gaps in the defensive setup there. So, yes, it doesn't end up with a round win, and yes, somehow we're 2-0 up for Lev. It really should have been 2-0 for G2, based on how the pistol round began.
चलो चलो रीसेट. ठीक है काउंट करते कि
But we
ये
are starting to see things
G2
that we've got to
2-0
keep
देख
track of
देख.
throughout this
एक
game.
बेनिफिट ऑफ डाउट
There
जीत
could be
सकती
holes
है.
that G2 are looking to exploit.
पढ़ने गान लगे इतना असाइनमेंट इतना
Good
प्रोजेक्ट.
take from
इतना
Lev.
वैलो खेलता तू. 18 साल का वो वुड देख आज कैसे जाके खेला है.
हाँ,
तू भी 18 साल में प्रोडिजी था भड़वे.
The reckoning to set themselves up, even the reveal onto King. It's going to be a bit of a sitting duck here. Jonah P could clean up, surely. At least hearing multiple footsteps. It's a hard rotation of Lev. Many mollies being forced out already just to try and push them back and away from this plant.
And this is going to pull out a little bit of the cove. There are 2 players that would die to 1 shot of Aspas as well. So there's still going to be this pressure to get the plant down.
Timing to take the fight. King, he's dropped Trent. These rifles are not really doing too much at all. They swarm the position, they've got them surrounded. There's not a single avenue that's open for Jonah P. To offset and contend with way too many players there. 3 in a row. The Leviatan.
That's
A little
lovely.
bit of
The
whip
utility
here
that
and
came in
there.
to deny the plant for G2 is immaculate. G2's compositional strength, having that cove, you should be able to get the plants down a little easier than running default compositions. But we saw Fragment Grenade coming through, Snake Bites coming through as well. And it's quite reminiscent of the way that Lev were playing their defense on Bind against NRG, throwing stuff at those players, stopping them from getting into comfortable spots. And that's a bonus round conversion. Man, the more that Lev run away with this, the more I'm going to be coming back to the fact that G2
Yeah, what a massive beginning. That could have potentially been that early utility. Oh, it should have maybe set them up for a nice early fight here.
सोचो अगर गन रहता तो स्पैम में मरते बे 2
बंदे. So Lev, that 2-player advantage now. G2 are definitely going to be looking to
heavy
link
discipline
themselves into some forward positions. Right behind this high tide. They've cut themselves up onto the left side approach.
heavy
Messino's picked up
discipline
the
dude.
back of it though, so even if there was a lurk into nest, they have that trip halls, and Messino's watching for any kind of deep play. So Lev should still feel fairly comfortable. They went for that push into elbow, and we're seeing a couple of teams do this. We saw the other LATAM team go for it as well.
Yeah.
Jitto का comp तो अच्छा है, Jitto का comp बहुत बहुत
One holding elbow, while the Jet tries to get on top and get that really nice sightline into mid. And that's an evolution of the play. Prior to this version of the meta, the Jet was just doing it on their own. So you're seeing kind of the interplay between teams. And G2 now driven into the B site.
Got access to it, at least the first portion of it. Still, they haven't cleared out the backside players, which is left. So to be able to get this plant down, the question is, how do you deal with this guy right now? Aspas is online with it. Easy pickings. Trent just can't quite withstand it.
Aspas goat बोलते.
At this point, I know it's a half-by round, but the economy is getting built up entirely now for Leviatan.
ये मैं लेजेंडरी वालों से बार सेन नहीं है क्या बार पे सेन जीत गया टेंशन ना लो.
Yeah.
even if G2 make a massive comeback.
मेरे जैसा खेल रहा ना आसपास. Thank
One away.
you.
Oh, yeah, got the Hunter's Fury online with the death there. So they might be able to make some kind of play. It's very common to combo the Euro ult with the Sova ult. So if they can get another orb, and this is the play that I'm talking about, this double walk down mid, I think it conditions the attackers into being very scared that that could be an option.
Yeah.
And Aspas has barely had to play anything other than the Outlaw so far. He's now going to make the upgrade to the Operator, though. So full armor on almost everybody on G2. Not going to save you from Aspas's one-shots again.
Look to do some damage. Look at this early peek into elbow. Will anybody just walk right into him? What an adjustment and a fling. That was a jump spot from Icy.
Oh, that was so good. On Icy's extended arm as well.
This off angle is dirty as well if you're not anticipating it. It's rare that a jet would really play up here, but a couple of stray bullets means that Trent does have that level of awareness. At least to push him back and away off that angle, but another first kill going there.
क्या मारा जंप
Despite the
में
fact they're in a
बेकार
4v5,
reaction चाहिए पता तुम
this
लोग को.
positioning up here of Leaf, who might be able to do something. He's got himself into a very deep position over at Halls. And now G2
आसपास कंसिडर
coming back
टेंस
to
इज
A.
नॉट टेंस का क्या रोल
They're in a
है
nice
वो
spot
अपने रोल
to
में
make
बहुत
an
ज्यादा
A-split
कंसिस्टेंट
work.
है वो.
Leaf still has 2 cages. He can cage this off, open the door, put a lot of pressure on these players. Close here.
No way, just a dry swing and peek for that mid-round information. Not set up with the util yet. He still survives.
Leaf didn't go for a
that kill, and yet Leaf was not able to
Bro.
survive. Work. This is just falling to pieces. Rat.
Bro,
That's how G2 are going to
it's
be
looking
feeling.
like a 13-0,
Aspas got shut down in the
yo.
pistol round. First death of the entire map. What's the stat line? Oh, 11-2.
Oh my God.
right. So that was only one of the times you've actually been able to punish Aspas.
Yeah.
Who otherwise has been running rampant. Slow that one down for me.
ये
Oh,
जिस दिन
no.
मेरे को क्वेश्चन पेपर में आएगा क्वेश्चन तब
That's an
करूंगा.
elbow. And by the way, that's not a wall bang. Don't understand.
ये सारे
Don't
आंसर
ask
तुम
me.
लोगों को
Pixel
प्लेयर्स को
perfect
पूछना
accuracy
चाहिए.
from this
किसी को
guy. He's
नहीं.
unleashed. And he's the monster in the server, man. He really is. He's the number one checkpost you got to try and mark if you are G2. How do you shut this guy down?
In that round 2, Lev went for a wide swing
Aspas
and
the
shallow
practice
swing
match.
re-clear into A main. It's dry, but it's well coordinated
Bro,
between the
deathmatch
2
खेल रहे
players. And that was just to gain more information.
लाइक
because
कर
they
दो
knew
चैट
that
लाइक
they
करो
lost the holes in front.
2000 लोग देख रहे हैं. लाइक
Leaf
करो लाइक
also
करो
does
लाइक
a
करो लाइक
cage,
करो
so
लाइक करो
Aspas
लाइक
gets
करो लाइक
that
करो.
free pick over towards Halls, and suddenly the A-split falls apart. But then the follow-up was so nice too. They recon flashed for Aspas to peek in when there was only one player left alive. Lev have been doing a lot of these defense re-clear strats. It ruined NRG. It absolutely pasted what they brought to the table. Breeze is a tough map to do that kind of stuff.
It is.
Look at the utility that Lev have to work with. If they want to do heavy defense re-clears, it's nothing
Aspas
like
Jinx
the
protected
ghetto
hai.
breach comp that they had on Sunset.
हाँ बे आसपास
And
बहुत है
yet
बे.
they're still finding opportunities to do that kind of stuff with what's available to
भाई
them.
100
Even
टका
throwing
मैच
in the
MVP हो
dry
100
re-clear
टका.
of
वो अभी
A-main.
AFK रहेगा ना अभी पूरा गेम.
That's a
वो
scary
भी
team
शायद
if they've got the confidence to go for that kind of stuff.
13-0.
Constantly being creative, inventive on the fly in these rounds. Never making G2 feel comfortable to set up for it. And look at that. I mean, talking about the comfortability. Aspas, this guy is lighting up the server.
डैश तो वेस्ट
Just
किया
predicting
उसके
that people
क्लोज
are
में.
going to be pushing up behind the cascade.
Yeah.
And he's bang on.
Sending the G2 players scattering.
भाई ऐसा मारेगा तो
And
लोग
I
क्या
was talking
स्टैट्स
earlier
बनाएगा
about
चैट
G2's
बताओ.
possibility of syncing up ultimates. It's really common to have your
Especially
ult
ये
into the
off
Sova,
heavy वाला
because
map
you
जिसमें
basically just
10
Sova ult
20
to your
angle
ult while they run next to people.
repick से वो
Another
लोग
big
मारते
combo
हैं.
with the Sova ult is the Reckoning into the Sova ult. And Valen's death there will get him slightly closer, but he's still pretty far away from getting that one online.
And it's just not
Aicha
saying these
Gawat.
positions.
Oh,
Yeah,
whoa,
they are
whoa,
so
whoa,
damn sharp
whoa,
today.
whoa,
Lev not missing a beat.
whoa.
They are looking like the scariest team in America right now.
They really are. They're the team to beat. My mind keeps going back to that pistol round, Josh.
Yeah.
You two are going to be kicking themselves for it. And I hate to draw attention back to all the way, I mean, at the beginning of the round, but that's the only time where Leviatan have looked like they've slipped up.
Yeah.
And they've tripped up, but...
And they just stuck the diffuse
They
and
just
won
stick the
anyway.
fuse and win anyway.
अब
So
बोलो.
G2 need to manufacture themselves a way of using these ults to gain themselves around. They're going to
Yeah.
go for this fake play.
ये
up
round
Halls. Actually,
जीतू
the gate crash here
जीतेगा.
is
Halls
committal.
is equal
So it's
to
gonna be a
win.
real
Simple बात है.
take of Halls. Icy is somewhat committed. You'd imagine he's going to use his ult to disengage here.
Next.
What did he?
Crash. Dimensional drift forwards here. I mean, somewhere the other side of the map, that's Aspas actually going down into elbow, and he's spotting out a few of these stragglers who are seeking to defend now this B side, but it is easy access for them, or at least it should be in theory.
A little confusing
Jar.
on Icy's ult path.
ये round जीत गया,
But
ये
it's
round
got
जीत
G2
गया.
the site. They're going to pit.
Yeah, pit down, tag onto the backside player, shock darts, rebounding. Sending in that long-range artillery, but Mizzino eager to not make any noise, just waiting for the rest of his team, trying to play inside this pit, and that flank attempt, well, it does pay off. Tex taking out Valin. They still have to deal with a lot of obstacles that are here, but that lights them all up towards the back of the site. Leaf is doing dirty work here all
बुलेट
around the
देखो
map, and
कितना
the
बचा
site
उसके पास.
struggling, contending. Howell of turning this. Jonah P.
Not again.
Last one left
Nice
inside the pit, but this time the molly is correct on the course.
Nice,
Straight out as well,
Rajana P,
anticipating
nice.
that fight. That's a Red Bull clutch and a wonderful turning
Beautiful
point for
play.
G2. They needed that round on the board.
That was a must
3
win,
बजे का टाइम देना
especially when
नहीं
it got
गलती
into
से
that
डाला
1v2
था.
scenario. Jonah playing it well, hitting the snake bite this time. The turning point in the round though was Aspas getting punished, so let's see how that
वो
happened. Yeah,
ये
just
था
going for the
वो
setup.
kill जिसने जिताया.
They'd heard a lot coming up holes, so Aspas felt like he was safe to go for a peek like that. And that's the power of the Yoru. You have the Yoru and the clone running up holes. It makes it feel like there's way more players over there.
Yeah.
It was a little weird the way that Icy was ulting from halls to B, but listen, they get the job done at Aspas with an early peek.
Never go things. Hunter's Fury though.
Ready?
It's a deep dart that was sent flying right
Hey,
at the
whip
beginning to
कर
get
दिया.
Crash to evade the shots.
That's a
Whip कर
rarity,
दिया,
Com
whip
not
कर
getting a
दिया.
pick with his ult.
Yeah, with those players lit up as well, there's definitely
These-
opportunities for Com to get some value.
So this is one of those times in the mid-round where Lev are lacking information towards mid. They've got the trip tunnel, pit B, and good info A. So it's really only in mid that they're missing info. So it might not incentivize them to go for some kind of reclear strategy just yet. But if G2 can take a bit more map control, it might spark that initiative out of Leviatan.
इसका क्या करेंगे?
Biding his time, waiting.
वो लोगों को पता नहीं ना आप किधर है.
Online, Mazzino's the one who has to defend his back here, straight through double doors. Maybe hearing a bit of a sound cue. Let loose spray of bullets.
भाई कितना
But this is
पैसिव
very
खेल रहे हैं. एक
slow
बार
by G2.
देखो लेव को
They're trying to
बे.
bait out Lev into going for some kind of push.
And here it goes. The go button pressed here with the drone through, getting the one tag, not spotting Aspas, but now they're calling him out. Kind of kills he's gonna be able to get here though with a deep dart over and away. Clone dodged, juked with the cages, really just making this one hard to collect any sort of kills, but they are flooding in the direction of Lev for now. Updraft, dodging away and avoiding. What is that adjustment? Aspas right now will not be denied. And this guy's just flexing on him.
Delivering the 7-1 to G2. It's so ridiculous what he's able to do. But
भाई
G2 there, very clear
मेरे
game plan, trying
हिसाब
to
से
bait out
आसपास
defensive
भाई
aggression
ने
from Leviatan.
इनविजिबल
But
वाली
the
हैक
problem with the
लगाई है.
strategy
कोई
was
उसको
they
नहीं मार
didn't
पा.
actually have enough map control. You have to take away parts of the map to incentivize Lev to go and look
देख
for
सोवा
information.
को दिखा भी नहीं कि जेट है. एक गोली नहीं चली है उस पे.
G2 were threatening presence in was mid.
Yeah.
And even then, the trip was still up towards tunnel, and there was a player watching vent.
43 आसपास और अपना
Nest,
मुंबई
sorry.
जरा साइफर. एक्सक्यूज मी.
So if that's your strategy to try to bait out defensive aggression and punish it, you've got to do more with your default.
Cage triggered.
This time everybody coming knocking though onto Texas side, the high tide. Again, it's used prior, so it's going to get them that easy plan, which won't be denied. They haven't cleared any of the site, and it's even the nade. I mean, Valen's just sticking it, seeing if he can get his team into a favorable scenario. I see. Good timing. Yeah, it is a good timing. Aggressive with it, but Texas right there.
Lol.
And wrangling control of the beast, it is that rifle. Making short work of these G2 players. You can send all the lineups in the world, Larry, but it's not going to be working out. There's far too much time on the clock, but that's a good one to find here still. Ollie should land, but they know exactly where he is, and with him cleaned up, yeah, Jonah
classic
P
हमारा
will
उसने.
not be able to win this one. So just a bit of extra pocket change really with that plant down. Lever just in more than
अरे
full
नहीं बहुत
control, man. This
बेस्ट
is
जेट का
domination.
टाइटल दे सकता है.
is.
आसपास बहुत.
And we're getting dominant rifle rounds into then G2 looking, you know, they're just kind of throwing it out there when they have an eco. It's got to feel like a good round for Tex to have, though. He gets that rifle advantage and he's able to bully his former team in back of sight.
ठीक है लीफ.
There's Leaf trying to make something happen on the opposite side of the map. but he just hasn't been able to make those lurks work to offer.
Aspas का
openings
mouse
around.
check करना
You know,
पड़ेगा,
he hasn't
mouse.
really been able to provide Valin those mid-round opportunities. All right, Harbor ult so far,
भाई Tex भी
massive
level
combo.
4 है बे,
It
Tex
will
भी
ruin you if you try
भाई
to
पूरा
anchor B
team ही
against
मारता
that.
है बे Lev का.
Will be knocking on the doors. It's up to Tex to try and push this one
I
back.
think he's read it. Look, he's so far offside.
Position. Yeah, he's just way out of dodge here. I mean, he's been playing in his backside position pretty frequently. Clone sent in, along with a dart. It's going to clear out most of the side with a cove into the choke, but they have to wait out those mollies. And I mean, Lev have already followed these sound cues. Guess what? They've already rotated into position. Either for a flood defense, or now they can just start sending it out. But they're going to let Icy get this plant off for now. Gate crash. Back to safety now into this post plant here. King. In a corning, aware that Leaf is already just going to be playing tucked into it. Doesn't actually have any util. Snake Bite to clear it. Hunter's Fury forwards. Leaf finds a first fight with Hunter's Fury as well. These players, they cannot stand their ground and shoot back. Lev putting it difficult now. Snared up into the sides. Aspas seeking that rifle. Pressing forwards now to 2v2, and they know exactly where Valin is. Dashing forwards, dart rebounding. It's absolute chaos here, but what can Aspas do against
बाप रे, ऊपर ही खड़ा रहता तो मार देता था.
particular moment. 8-2, G2, a second round on the board.
I really like the idea that if the Reckoning finds no pulses, they save the Sova ult for the post plan.
उधर जाना चाहिए था रे, ने 2 बार पिंग किया मुझे, उन्होंने क्यों डिफॉल्ट पे डाला पता नहीं.
They had the opportunity to use these kind of ult combos way earlier in the half to try to make this an even one, and at best case scenario it's going to be an 8-4, even if G2 win the next couple.
भाई not bad
Finding their footing, but it
considering
might be too little
2
too
round
late.
pistol throw किया है, मतलब
They've got Icy's
6-4.
ult to build around. Again,
6-4
another
होना
one that
चाहिए
can be
था.
extremely
Not bad.
useful. They're going to start working their way up mid. Last time they got off by Aspas,
10-5
but he's not
भी
here
कर
this
सकते
time.
थे.
This time Icy just using the gate crash to get a little bit deeper.
पहला
into
round
his
बहुत
angle.
भारी पड़ी.
Dimensional drift. A spot out and clear out. Almost the entirety of this
Tap
side. In fact,
tally.
yeah. It's free for his team to now take and get into the post.
One of the problems with Leviatan's retake in the previous round is that they didn't have people flanking. That angle is filthy.
कौवा
He's
किधर
right over the
है?
top of the high tide, so they assumed it was a safe plant. Not the case. Flash, peek, Icy in the back, but his anti-flash dodged. So, you know,
कौवा किधर था?
too clean with the reflexes.
कौवा क्यों नहीं दिया उसको?
3 players. Leaf's going to
खाली
have
था
to do an
करके
awful
क्या?
lot of lifting here to try and make this one winnable. Such a large disadvantage. Now time is being bled off the clock, but they're losing out these duels, and the lineups still going to be played from afar. Already Mazzino sticking, gets his half, and it doesn't even matter. No more players will be dropping. They're just fully
Tex
aware
भी
the
क्या
game
मार
plans
रहा
that
है?
are being played here by G2.
The snakebite also missed again. So even if that had been something, they're clearly missing some coordination
Wait,
between
where
the
डाला था
plant
कौवा?
positions and the lineups. It was a different lineup position, not one that's standard. We normally see people running the lineups from outside cave. This one was more towards Mir. But frankly,
Oh,
that's like a
hi,
side
apple.
note. It's not really what won the round.
Joking.
Wow.
क्या reaction
Just as the
थे?
planter was about to be covered by the cage as well. They're running a double smoke comp
भाई
with the
Tex
Cypher.
का
They have
भी
a lot
aim
of
क्या है
tools to be able to
भाई?
disguise where the plant position is, and yet it's not quite getting there. And now G2 come into round 12 with a bad buy.
Last chance to do something. Mazzino not being faked out there by the
Oh,
but
6
I mean,
anti-flash
Icy is
kill.
playing anti. Tex follows through now with a Hunter's Fury. He's going to be chasing all sorts of kills. The Cove making it difficult, but well, the Cove will not withstand that
Ay,
kind of pressure.
kya
Galvanizing on this is
gawan!
just ripping them to shreds.
Tex is such
Ay,
an eco
kya
cobra in this game.
ye?
He's running around, snaffling up the players of G2. See if they set him up for the next one. Can he drive the dagger into the heart of his former team?
Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
It was Com eventually that puts Jonah P down. A 10-2 half. Terrifyingly good from Lev.
I mean, that was fast as well.
Tex 15-5 है, Aspas 74 है. बाकी लोग का जरूरत है?
I mean, I don't know when we started casting, but
भाई वो दो बंदे लोग में
Yeah, well, I'll tell you
32 kills है,
fastest,
bro.
one that we've had so far was G2 themselves playing against Furia. 13-3, 13-3. So
13-3.
beating the speedrun record here for Lev, beating G2 would be amazing.
keeping track of it.
Someone in Salt would be making a video about it.
हेलो क्या हो रहा है?
Category up on
Speedrun.
speedrun.com. But yeah,
Speedrun
what
हो रही
an
है.
absolute
भाई
blistering pace.
जूते
Send it
देखो
over to the
भाई.
analyst desk to break it down so far.
जूते देखो बे.
Thank you so much, fellas. I think, you know, in the streets, we just call that a good old-fashioned beatdown. Okay, that's what we're seeing. Only in the streets is it called that. But honestly, real talk though, it all started in the first round.
Yeah.
Literally, it was just round one,
I
and
mean,
then that point.
people stuck on.
It didn't have to be this way. Like, it was just a massive blunder from G2 in the pistol, where they started out, they go up into a 5-on-3 situation, but they've got 2 players late re-wrapping,
5-on-2?
and 3 players playing offside, so it's just a full stick waiting for mollies to come in. It was just a disaster in a space where it absolutely shouldn't have been. And then LEV get this bonus round as well.
Yeah, I mean, LEV in this one, I mean, credit to them. They did a good job of getting some stall util, forcing that planter off. But consistently, that util was pushing the G2 planter off. And then they were going for these fights into backside to try and buy themselves some space. But when we saw these late round fights, it was generally uncoordinated. Right? One player stayed ahead, getting punished by a sheriff, getting punished by Aspas. And I feel like that was a story that repeated throughout this half.
Yeah, it definitely felt like LEV made G2 struggle with their utils, struggle with their comms. Like, a lot of the util they were using didn't really make sense for how the round was playing out. It felt like they didn't understand the timings that LEV was kind of taking as well, kind of putting a wrench into all of their game plans. They couldn't hold down sites. It should have started as a 3-0, but it felt like they just started losing that momentum.
And because they lost those critical swing rounds, then in round 5, we have Aspas with the first off for the first time. LEV wins that, so then it's an eco round. So we go into the situation where every other round for G2 is an eco. You're never going to win a game like that.
On top of that, we're seeing these car bullets go up and LEV being able to sneak up and go for these flood retakes. They were constantly ahead of the pace, and they're in a winning position.
Yeah, well, now we're in a position, as you said, Mimi, where Leviatan could very well close this out quite quickly, and you might be talking to us pretty soon. So we're going to send it back over to Brennan Sideshow.
I prompted a question near the beginning of this game, you know, who's going to be shutting down Aspas as the monster on the battlefield. But so far, no one's really stepping up to the challenge. He's made this map look like his playground. Jumping around all over the place.
I think that's what makes this map pool so damn scary. For G2, that is. Because you've just got Aspas running around on Breeze and Icebox here in the first 2. How on earth are you going to stop that?
Who's going to step up to the challenge? Even when they do bring him down, it just seems like divine intervention that LEV still end up winning those rounds.
G2 with 2 players towards double door, heard LEV pathing that way at the beginning. And now, as things go silent, they're looking to go and re-explore. Valen and Jonah P here know that there is nobody in mid, but where have LEV gone? Is it towards the Cypher that's in the halls, or the opposite direction?
They've lost a lot of control over towards B main as well, so there's that uncertainty. That's why G2 are making their way over towards B, just in case. I see. Good kill to collect. Text the lurking player down towards halls, but now pretty aware of the fact that this is going to be an A plant. The dart. LEV are going to be using that to take that backside control. Com could definitely get caught here by this fast flank occurring right behind him. Yes, was unaware of the fact here, and he is going to be squeezed from every single position and angle. I mean, with the classic, how much work is this guy doing? Having to dodge and duke and duck away from these shot darts up onto the ropes. Jonah P does win the fight out. This is a great start for G2. Advantages to be found, and they are making it nice and clean. Aspas. Last one now. Try and push them all back here. Only 5 more bullets left, and there's no easy shots, no easy targets. Valen now sticking that defuse, and guess what? Not planned it for him, but the code in place. It's a pistol round wrapped up nice and pretty there from G2. With some really ideas of what they wanted to do in the mid round.
ना लेफ्ट राइट देख के मैं तो माउस से फेंक देता था डायरेक्ट
because when G2 double up at double doors and then re-clear mid, no matter whether you plant on A or B, they're getting fast flank retakes off. And the cherry on top of that was that when Tex went down, the trip is disabled. So they then get a good flank onto Cop.
पहला राउंड तुरंत नहीं होता तो और क्लोज आता गेम 6-8 होता.
It does start with 1. Yeah. You need 1 at a time, but you need many of them.
They got a right mentality. They're going to even make that a possibility.
Jonah P getting hit by the knife there. If that happens on rifle rounds, it will open up a little bit of an avenue for LEV.
Wow.
Good awareness.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Just anticipating the lurk up. Fast on the play by Aspas with him shut down. A lot of danger of the eco round does go away.
भाई comeback वाला smell आ रहा है क्या?
LEV now.
Actual में close game हो सकता है अगर वो round
probably going to be waiting for the knife cooldown.
8-6 close ही है.
Get tagged up by it. Oh, it might even go down to a few stray shots here. It's this setup that's going to be pushing them back in a way. LEV are really quite keen and eager to try and get themselves into the side, but now different direction. Pivot out towards elbow.
They're going to know where Valen's positioned. That's one of the
बोल नहीं सकते
weaknesses,
बे,
I suppose,
Yoru है,
running
ये
the
लोग का
harbor is that
rotation
you always give
speed
away
तो
where you
होएगा.
are every time you use that high tide or cascade. But this round is more to do with feeling out what G2 are doing on the defense. It's not like Levo really coming in here expecting to win. But you think about the way the G2's combo is going to work on defense. They don't have the jet. So if Icy does try to go aggressive, it should be a little more readable, a little less easy for him to escape. Here comes Lev.
Now, yeah, straight through. And the Classics doing a decent amount of work here, but the Trips snarling up King. So no one stepping over the boundary. That was that B site.
So my point being that when you have that solo Yoru,
मेरे dog को potty कर दे उसका smell आ रहा है. Very nice.
what
साफ
the desk
करे.
was talking about
क्या
after
कर रहे हो?
Ethan's interview. Remember, Ethan plays Yoru on this map and has played Yoru at an astoundingly good level on multiple maps. But Ethan always plays it with another jet player. I think it changes things drastically for
सबका अलग अलग रहता है
being the
not
only duelist,
this
because
game खेलने
instead of being able to play supportively, he actually has to be the tip
वो
of the
लोग का
spear
structure
if
है
he wanted to do any of these
Or protect one.
defensive pushes.
I agree completely.
So it's kind of got to be all in from G2. And look over towards B right now. They are doing one of those all-in pushes.
Yeah, just trying to make sure they get the punish here onto Texas. Only job really is to just stay alive and contain and call this one out. But with the high tide, it's misinformation thrown into the mix, especially with the clone. He's going to think there's potentially more footsteps, more bodies there than before.
It's quite cool to get Leaf into such a deep position.
Not only that as well, I think they were just trying to make Lev rush into a decision, potentially to rush into the A side.
And if you react into A, that's where Icy has the gate crash. It's well thought out. Do they think about Leaf? This is where the high tide was pointing.
Oh, it's just not expecting it. But yeah, great awareness from Tex, knowing that that was a slight gap. Had to be re-cleared here. Now Lev can make their moves all the way over. Valendo, Outlaw in hand. 2 shots will do it. Volleys have to be dodged and juked and avoided and evaded.
Oh, anti-race. Shot भाई. भाई क्या ये बंदा?
Subtle with it. He's one away now from the ace. Looks like we haven't seen too many of them, to be honest, in the Super Week, but...
Shrix देख रहा है Shrix.
This is one of those aces where you get the 4 kills very impressively, and then the rest of your team tries to help you hunt down the final one.
They know where he is, Jonah. P shots. Landing.
He's just being ridiculous.
Aspas just stealing it away.
Oh, that's brutal. Tex did such a great job at getting 4. He's playing against his former team. He's got 20 kills across 15 rounds. He's overtaken Aspas. Maybe that was the reason Aspas stole the ace again.
He needs the kills.
He's like, all right, get down.
Yeah.
Get down.
I'm the one playing for the stats. But that is insane. Yeah, I mean, just feeling just empowered, I think.
I swear, Tex has got most of these kills as well when G2 are on eco-buys or lighter weapons. Round 15 again, it's like an anti-bonus for Lev, and he runs them over.
Weapons out for IC. Trent's got a very long sight line to look down with the Marshal here, while Lever exploring into mid. Drone used for some of that information.
Heavy emphasis towards mid here. You can see the G2 playing it somewhat similar to the pistol round. This is what their setup was. Val and Jonah P. When they heard this movement away, they started walking into mid. And you're seeing a similar thing happening right now. They're walking forwards as Leviatan start to take A main. And this puts G2 in a position where the retake A comes from many different angles.
Yeah.
The difference was on the pistol, Tex also went down, so that trip was disabled.
Spot on the shoulder, Tex wins that fight. No ult left immediately, but Valen, what a response from him! I mean, just 3 kills toppled like that into the main, executing. And we talked about it, it was the difference maker last time. The double swing is lovely with the coordination. All caught to
ठीक है भाई, Trent ठीक है.
Rinse and repeat, I suppose. Mazzino.
ठीक है यार Trent. Big fan
Nice
यार,
on the
love
cards
you.
here for Valen. Wall still up, he can back away, and he does have the spike. With only 17 seconds to utilize it. Running short and shy of the time, so Mazzino sticking the plan. Valen gets a bit of a run on, and there's the kill. Okay.
Valen's got to be feeling decent about that one, but they're still so far behind, it's not time to celebrate just yet. I think it's slightly worrying as well that they've only got one strategy that's working so far, which is this defense setup where Valen and Jonah P push down mid. Now, it's great that it's working, but it's such a single-minded idea on your defense that I think Lev are going to read into it real quick. It's a little confusing. They haven't got the idea about it even at this point when it came out on the pistol round. The brains inside Leviatan will be able to figure out what's going on, because it's whenever they go towards mid and then run away, that's when they're getting caught in the back. I think it's pretty easy to put 2 and 2 together.
भाई G2 का duelist देखो भाई.
Different defense setup here for G2. Not going for that same kind of play. The reckoning is good to try to stop these side hits from coming
और ज़्यादा
through.
space
Go for an
करवा
A
के
split.
देता है.
Yeah, wow, no command. Waves emanating out now. It's going to be catching all the players towards the back of the site and more. Jonah P. He's feeling that squeeze. Val into the side, playing that anti-flash through the cage as well. Many targets to deal with. He is being overwhelmed here. Jonah P just can't provide that supportive fire, but the rest of G2 still alive and kicking into the 2v2. Aspas wasn't dropped in the midst of this one, and now he's going to be re-exploring up towards the stairs. Trying to take a good fight as well, but doesn't overstay it. Dart doesn't get broken in time. Aspas playing out of the position.
Oh.
Trent, what a fight to take. Got the confidence back with that one. Would have to be ridiculous from him. And the fight to be an isolated one-on-one. Sova versus Sova. Shock dart, rebounds away, getting the info, getting the knowledge, the jump spot, an additional confirmation, and Com running round and round.
Oh,
Trent way ahead of it.
What a round from Trent there. He gave away his position with the recon dart.
ऐसा 2 round भारी पड़ रहा है मेरे को लग रहा है.
Both players were.
वो 2 round भारी पड़ने वाला लग रहा है मेरे को.
Back up,
yeah.
but deletes both of the players he was taking fights against. I guess sometimes when you get outclassed as a team, you have to take matters into your own hands, and that's what Trent did here. Look at that anticipation.
Huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's so aware in the clutch there of where Com is going to be playing.
And for the first time, Lev are going to get knocked down onto an eco round. And this also prompts the TAC timeout. Some time here for the coaches to come in and probably talk about the strat that was used in round 13, round 16. So that can be a small adjustment.
पता है
And
कि
also,
भाई पता है.
potentially, Lev looking to try some other stuff out. I think, to be honest with you, Lev's attack side calling in that round, the split through A, I think it was all sensible. They didn't quite have the most coordinated peek out through the cage. They double underhand dashed, but the dash from Aspas was under yellow instead of on top of yellow, and that meant that they couldn't coordinate a double peek out through the cage. Small details like that, you just tweak them a little bit, and the rounds will be even more going towards Lev, I think.
Let's see if they do make those adjustments here, because right now G2 are, stringing together quite a substantial amount of rounds. Money as well is just piling up, and the ultimates.
And that
3 ulti है भाई G2 भाई comeback हो सकता है भाई. Comeback हो सकता है.
Which is massive, especially I think on B post plants.
8-9 होता था अगर वो pistol ने वो होता तो.
Boards that you need to clear out.
क्या बोलते हैं? लेव के मैप में अगर वो पिस्तौल में
looks like pulling out some of those defense side ults.
तो 8-9 होता.
That's what they'll probably be looking towards.
Listen, it also might look like Aspas killing 5 with Bladestorm. but I think
that's always on the cards.
Set the expectations reasonable.
Yeah. But you never know with Aspas. Everybody grouped up. Aspas is the sole player playing towards double doors here. He will be applying that extra pressure and squeeze through from the main players. They are not looking towards it. Hopped up, get the info. Just barely ahead, but missed out with the Bladestorm. Hunter's Fury will relieve quite a lot of this torpedo. Weave it in and out, but the Phantom Spray just can only do so much. Still, 2 kills. Did donate over the rifle with him falling.
बेचारा लगा ही नहीं बे उसका.
Well.
There's a fight on the flank.
What are we feeling? Worried about it? Yep, this flank potentially being hurt here by LEV. Reckoning used to take this space up and scale quite fast onto the approach. King has already caught himself a kill. Already with that rifle that has been done in, and only just being dealt with. In the main angle, LEV is now at a position, and time ticking away. Despite being planted, LEV is getting a move on here. He's not really being shy about it, not really obfuscating any sense of his positioning, and just not ready to collect that kill, so it's a thrifty win for Lev. You talk to our best case scenario for Lev, what they were expecting. How about winning the round?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing with this team. They're just so good.
Yeah.
I love that eco round strategy though. And to explain what's going on for Leviatan, it looks like on the minimap they're splitting A, but they're not really. They're making it feel like a full A main push. And then your Jet with Bladestorm is creeping quietly up through double doors. The idea is to disguise the fact, to make the defenders all look towards A main, and hopefully Aspas opens things up. Actually, Aspas just ended up being the distraction. And it was King overwhelming a player on site, stealing a rifle that ended up winning the round for them. But the strategy was great. Talk about making the best out of a rough situation. And G2, again, in an advantage situation, letting it slip away from them.
It's the trouble when you go up against teams with the on-paper quality Lev have, and this point it's not on paper, they've been showcasing it past few matches, is that you just need the extra element. Whether it's firepower to shut down as players, they'll make melons out of you, man. They will force you to make mistakes. And if you make mistakes, of course, they're going to capitalize on them.
Yeah. I think, though, that with Leviatan, it's actually not even the on-paper quality of the roster that I've been most impressed with recently. It's the fact that they've come together as a unit.
Oh, in such a short, a short amount of time. It's a 180, essentially.
Yeah. Because, to be honest, they looked
kind
of crappy against Cloud9.
Yeah.
Like, that match... They were out of it, and the fact that they've managed to come back from that and really retool a lot of what their ideas are and come in with such a fleshed out strat book on their attack and defense side, very impressive.
Quite a short amount of time indeed. Pitt's going to be covering up the main angle here. Lots of threats to worry about, especially with Tex lurking up halls.
It's a contact play of elbow and holds.
Just miss.
All right, the Shock not clearing either of those trips.
It's intended for the unbreakable one. The trips are pushed a little bit further back. There's no way. Ball's nowhere to run really here. It's a tight corridor, confined. It's exactly necessary for Trent to confirm that kill. With Tex falling, 2-2, you get that advantage here. What a time to do it as well when the weaponry wasn't looking too ideal, but Lever immediately just taking up all the space into mid.
They're making this again feel like they're getting set up for a B hit, while this lurk from Aspas and Com is very disguised. Look at the player arches, they're all looking at the site now, only just now thinking about the mid lurk.
And they've lined up perfectly for him. Good! They're tearing them to pieces. I mean, they were using their own high tide against them to get into that top mid angle as well. Just a bait and switch, Valin. Just seeing to pluck him apart in that mid angle as well, but he's not going to be able to get too much done now. Still, the pit will fade away. Jonah P, they've got to be aware of his position, and now definitely so. Dart just lights him up. Shock Dart's pushing him back and away. Mazina with the plant and a pit to play within. Should be a done deal, except leave. No! Just util out at a very wrong timing. Leaf now. Hopping around the place, man. He's seeking an avenue, a kill, anything at all, and he is making it look relatively fancy.
Aspas, ended with the bang.
Aspas, good work to jumping out, and why? But he doesn't have a rifle for it, and it's such a long sightline damage. Done to Aspas, updraft for the info, high ground angle played, 5 HP to Leaf's name, sticking, already gained. Can he get it? Not quite at all. It's Aspas. He shuts down that attempt of heroism.
Updraft test.
We got away here of Leviatan.
The final round, it got chaotic towards the end, and Leaf did the best he possibly could. But I am massively impressed with what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
Those attack side rounds towards the end, where it feels like one strat, and then it turns into another. You know, make the eco round that feels like a full 5A main or a 4-1. And instead, Aspas is on the fast split through double doors. This round, they lose a player early, Tex in holds,
how does
and
that induction motor
they make
work?
it feel like a full B exec while two players lurk.
They're looking strong, too strong.
This is advanced.
That like kar do
really
jaldi, 2000 likes kar do.
And Lever pulling it out after, you know, retooling their whole approach.
Dead impressive stuff from Leviatan so far, but early days in the series. We're going to step away for about a moment. Map one all wrapped up. The desk is going to break it all down for us.
Aspas or 10s? 10s, baby.
Excuse me.
भाई कैसे वाला सीन था भाई. कैसे 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 कैसे. An analyst who is close to Aspas right now, itna consistently no for this cup. I still can't believe Sen lost yesterday, was at work so couldn't watch the match. कैंडिडेट ये छोड़ दिया क्या बेंच टेस्ट? मतलब बेंच डे है लेकिन उसका ऑप्शंस खुला है. टीएच में नहीं है वो अभी. मतलब 6 भी नहीं है उसे. Aim wise closest Demon 1 and consistent wise Decan maybe. मेरे लेव टू स्ट्रॉन्ग वाला सीन हो रहा है यार. मतलब लेव अभी तब भी हार सकते जब भी कोई आसपास को शट डाउन करेगा. लेकिन प्रॉब्लम ये भी है आसपास शट डाउन करेगा तो भी टेक्स का क्या करे. वो एक्टिव हो जाता ना. स्लिप स्लिप. हाँ हैवी स्पीड रन हो गया बे. लेव वर्स इजी मस्त मैच होएगा. नहीं रे. किंग भी तो फुल कंट्रोल. किंग विंग तो बाद में आते भाई. टेक्स का एम देखा है तुम लोग ने? लेव वर्सेस सेन बताओ. सेन को हरा दिया लेव ने बाय द वे. वो भी बहुत 47 मार के. Top 3 vandals for you. Forsaken, River और अभी कोरोना में. कैसे करते हैं ऐसे? पता नहीं बे. चलते चलते मारते बे. इन वन मैप जस्ट सेइंग. हाँ बे वो तो भाई अलग था बे. वो तो ज्यादा ही कुछ अनबिलीवेबल था. मतलब प्रीवियस 2 महीने पहले जो मास्टर्स जीत के चैंपियन बने उनके सामने 47 मारना. हाँ मैं तो सरेंडर कर दूं भाई. वो लोग ने 47 मारा उनके सामने. क्या मतलब कॉटन में ये क्या है भाई? ला 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 ला. मेरे को कब दोगे वैंडल? एक्सक्यूज मी. Pam, pam, pam.
Here with GoKit from Leviatan, a very convincing map. It was your map pick, but I'm going to bring it back to what we were talking about before when I interviewed Tex, when we saw before the game, a sort of Tex revenge factor that the team was talking about, that Tex was talking about, that even G2 was alluding to as the kind of leader, the adult in the room, if you will. They're all adults, but as the adults in the room. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, when I trialed Tex for the team, I specifically booked a prac against G2 to see how he would take it, and he destroyed them. So I can tell he's very hungry to play against them, and he demonstrated it on first map.
Well, you almost got an ace, so he's looking pretty good. Well, best of luck on map 2.
Well, whether it's the practice or it's the actual game, seems like Texas
DRX
is
versus LEV
against his
देखना है
old
हाँ,
opponents in
DRX
G2
versus
Esports.
LEV
Leviatan
बहुत crazy
just
है
look absolutely fantastic as they
ये
shut down
DRX
G2
का
on
fundamentals
Breeze. And,
अभी
I mean,
top
I think
notch
it just
दिख रहा है
goes without saying, like, this is what we had
एक बार
expected
shout out दे दो
of
Vrabs
Leviatan, considering the firepower that is
Shivam
on that team.
Vrabs
But man,
Shivam
the way that they
Vrabs
started
Shivam
things
bhai
off was
thank you
just
for
something
the
else.
Yeah, for sure.
95
They started off
big shout out to
strong. I
मेरी
mean,
जान के
G2, they
टोटे
have a defensive comp, and they couldn't even get enough rounds on attack in order to put themselves in that good position. But as we can see here, the whole team on LEV contributed to some sort of a win in this scenario. It just felt like they were on top. They played their game, and I think they played it really well.
Yeah, and for Aspas, especially in that first half, getting the off online in round
बात तो
5,
सही है
it was
जीवन
lights up before that, but once that came in, there was nothing G2 could do to beat them.
Aspas was ridiculous,
जो
and in
problems
the
वो लोगों को fix करना
head-to-head
पड़ेगा
against Icy,
तो
it
इसमें
was
Aspas को
completely
कितना support
one-sided.
मिलता
There
है
was a
देखो
lot
ना
of
एक
pressure
एक एंगल
put
देखने का
on the rookie for G2 to play that solo Yoru. Generally, we're seeing those Yoru jet comps, and in this head-to-head, when he was going for these opening kills, he was getting shut down, and a large part of that was how ridiculous Aspas was playing.
Yeah, and look, it's not a
तब read
surprise that
perfect है ना
happens.
उसका
Like, we came
ये
in
बहुत
full well
crazy
knowing
था
Aspas
ये
was
बहुत
going to have
crazy
the
था
upper hand, but I just, it's a thing of beauty to see game after game, series after series, how well Aspas is performing. Like,
देखो
he does
दबे
not skip a beat. Ever since that match against Sentinels when he dropped 47, it has just been lights out over and over.
Yeah, I mean, every single player can shoot back, but it's a matter of Aspas
G2
being
का entry song
insanely
का नाम क्या है पता
consistent
नहीं
in top fragging. And it's not only the matter that he's just top fragging, he can take that operator in any defensive stance, move it around, get lines for his team, get information, and it's almost like you can just leave him on an island and he'll be fine. Even though he's that duelist player, doesn't have that much util set up behind him, he's just doing great by himself.
Now, that actually happened a few times where he was just like on an island by himself and just dominating everyone.
He's so good at setting himself up for success.
Yeah.
But despite that, he wasn't the #1 player on that scoreboard for the side of
इनका quick
Leviatan.
thinking
He
है
just
हाँ
was
यार
owning.
Wild
तो
stuff,
मेरा अपने
honestly.
kill rate को
Tex
तोड़ दिया
really just with a point to
तोड़ा
prove,
मैंने आज
or
उसको
I
याद
don't know. I
नहीं
mean, honestly, I didn't even want to look too far into it. I just think it
बस
was
मैं
just
एक
Tex
question
popping
पूछा
off because my guy was out there just, you know,
ये
wow,
round देखना
waxing
पे
it.
ये
No,
round
I mean, especially on
इसके बाद ये
defense,
जो
right?
window
Whenever
वाले
they
को
came
मारते हैं
in
ना
towards that B site, and it wasn't always like him
ये
waiting for them to
देखोगे
come at him. These are two very aggressive plays back to back. But I also just thought that the quick tempo retakes that Lev had around that B site, because the harbor wall not fully giving control to G2 over the full site, Tex was just so often on site as the spikes being
Who
planted
is
to farm
better,
kills.
Yeah, it
10
takes
से
a
jet
lot
और
of nerve
आसपास
to
से
kind
jet
of
ये क्या
either play on
comparison
site perfectly or fall off site. And I feel like every single round, Tex made the right call each time. He knew when he could go aggressive and kind of take the fights by himself, and he knew when he should fall off and set up for the retake. That is definitely like a team combined effort, but Tex specifically played that insane.
That's what I've really liked about his kind of switch over of roles now, joining this Leviatan.
ऐसा नहीं लग रहा ये ज़्यादा लंबा चल रहा है मैच से
dive duelist agent, which he was playing with G2 when they were going on their run last year. He still will throw in some of those rounds where he makes a play, is like pushing through a cage and getting proactive, but also can fall back, be more of an anchor. There's a lot of depth to his play.
And usually those aggressive looks are based on something else the team is doing. Like, it's a clear, cohesive plan that they've built around to enable him to go look for
like I feel like it's two different situations, right? Aspas, he could just do it on his own because he can't, because that's kind of like how the team's been built. Whereas with Tex, it's really fascinating to see how the team, and even though the team still supports Aspas in that regard, it's great to see them put Tex in those positions.
Because he needs less resources, you can put these resources into setting Tex up for plays sometimes too.
And I think what it's really manifested in is for Leviatan having the most flexible defense that I've seen in America. Exactly. And they do it based off of the trap plays that you see on a map like Sunset or on Icebox or Breeze, having consistent defaults that then you have the aggro peak of an Aspas or a Tex coming in to just really surprise you. It is those types of looks that make Lev such a dangerous team to prep against.
I mean, they're just so solid on their fundamentals and their protocols. It is insane. I think they've worked so hard specifically on their foundation that you can see it coming out, where they don't hesitate for a second when they all know what to do at all times.
Well, look, G2 need to figure it out. Thankfully, we're going to hear from the coach at G2 with Elizabeth ahead of map 2.
Here with Coach Josh RT of G2 Esports. Now, that map didn't go in your favor. You were attempting to bring it back, not quite, but we are going to your map pick on Icebox. What are we fixing from map 1 into map 2?
I think we just need to trust each other more, believe in our plays. be aggressive when we need to, and don't give them space, but also make sure Aspas doesn't get picks on us on our attack. So I think those are the keys.
Would you say Aspas is like the biggest kind of X factor for Leviatan right now?
I think we couldn't get into our attack side. Like besides the early blunder, of course, he was able to get a man advantage for them constantly, so it didn't get us like into our groove.
Best of luck.
Yeah, I think it's especially important hearing Josh there talking about how they can not allow Aspas to get those free picks as we move into the map of Icebox, where that Jet is so incredibly dominant at re-swinging into
match लगा दो by match छोटा time चला पे
will be
बातें लंबी चली है मेरे हिसाब
have to be perfect when they're working up into B main, A main, not to fall
पहला ट्रैपर पहला सैफर तो ट्रैप पीछे से आगे से खेल रहा था बोला हमेशा वो लोग एम इतना स्ट्रांग है ना लोग थोड़ा अर्ली फाइट करके रिपोजिशन करते
Trent, he's been so good at getting that information, providing it to the team, and they have that Gecko to get a lot of this information. They don't have
the composition अच्छा है duelist नहीं लेके
so they really need to win out on their defense here.
You can play Icebox with no duelists. I think the comp is totally fine, and in fact, I think these double initiator comps have been playing super well into these more default Jet Harbor Viper comps. When you have the Gecko and the Sova, you have a lot of ideas to flood the region and fight through that util.
Well, G2 Esports need the win right here to force that map 3.
लेकिन डबल कॉम्प ज्यादा अच्छा है ना डबल इनिशिएटर ज्यादा अच्छा है क्या बोलते हो
Yeah, let's find out if they can really mount that, I guess come back into the series overall here for G2, and Icebox is their map pick. They're going to get their choice of that at least, and with the composition they're playing, it does give you a lot of options, I think, as well. It also can be quite limiting to a degree. For me personally, I keep harping on about this, but when you don't have a duelist into this comp, when you're trying to set it up with the double initiator, who's the one who's going to be taking that space? You have the tools, but who's going to be the tip of the spear for you? I think that's going to be a question and something I'm looking at, I think, for G2 on this particular Icebox.
The desk was talking a lot about how
Icebox
works with or without resources, and that is an applicable conversation to have about G2 as well, because resources are kind of given by IC and used by IC. It's it's his job to push off the back of a lot of
backside control
which is a little more awkward sometimes. But I think while the meta comp it might not be, Leviatan's usage of it was amazing the last time we saw it on Icebox. All of the details looked sublime.
On-time plays through and through. So similar by G2. I mean, look at this. Hard flank up through mid, making sure that they take all that space. They realize it's coming on through A. It's a flank with 3 players. They contact into the turret and they actually just think twice about it.
Yeah, the turret's broken, so now Leviatan need to look behind them or try to react forwards. Com seems to be prepping a recon for Aspas to push.
And he's incredibly deep and aggressive onto the angle and approach, but he has just skewered the man. Sheriff in hand. He lets it sing. Jonah P. It's quite a good job, honestly, of just trying to shore up the offense here. Onto the retake. Leaf now is alone in it. Spots out the 1 and the 2nd, so he's got to know these players' positions, but he needs to find the kills with only 5 bullets to do it with. Spraying him through, needs to get that reload online, but doesn't anticipate this angle from the back. Doesn't know where to look. With the spike ticking away, time has ran too short for it. So Leviatan up 1 round here by winning that opening pistol.
If G2's game plan was to not give away early picks to Aspas, that's just gonna feel so brutally awful for them. Aspas is hunting in every post plant on A for these kind of fights. What is this angle?
It's insane. I mean, you're never gonna expect somebody to be playing up there.
No, and it's such an unusual spot. Valen tries to tuck close and then get the wide swing into it, and he swings his head straight into the crosshair placement. He's everywhere. Aspas is always going to be a menace. If you give Leviatan the ability to take sight, Aspas is not going to drop back and play some kind of passive close plan. It's going to be in your face.
Yeah. G2 have pushed players aggressively. Spotted though. Trying to take the fight there, Harbor v Harbor, but the better weaponry wins it out for Mazzino. Take a bit of a breather now into the moment. They were playing aggressively for that.
And they're going to be holding for any kind of mid-re-clear. Something that Leviatan were caught by a few times on Breeze. Not happening in this round, though. No. G2 just holding. Just believing in the read, believing in the gamble.
And hoping that Lev will just walk right into them, which is the case here, but the question is, can they really overcome that? Not quite. Full flurry and rush towards them. Anybody that was going to be doing some damage, potential going to be removed here onto the side.
ये मैच देख के मैं चला, मैं भी mostly ये मैच देख के चला यार.
Building up early.
There's an interesting dynamic in this match. Which, you know, we've been talking a lot about Tex against his former team, but we've also got two of our biggest heavy hitters from last year's regular season, Aspas and LEV. Both towards the top of the scoreboard at the very early stages of this map. But one now moving
अरे
from
जल्दी खत्म हो गया तो देख
to
सकता
kind
है
of
ऐसा crew और लड़ वो भी 2-0
and
खत्म
LEV's
हो
not
गया.
always going to be anchoring on this map. Sometimes it's the Killjoy's job, in fact, a lot of the time, to just be kind of
निखिल भाई शिप
playing
पे
the flow. But I am
या घर
intrigued
पे
to see that
वो शिप पे
because
घर पे आएगा.
as much as Aspas has just been incredible since the very beginning of his time on Loud, LEV last year was
भी एकदम खतरनाक होने वाला मतलब एकदम M-Duels होने
So
वाला.
slightly missed timing that one, but the punish for the AWR. But you're right. LEV and Aspas going head to head. Not always in the server, but definitely when it comes to contending for the top spots. In terms of the statistics over the course of Americas.
Yeah, and that was last year. I don't know whether the same is going to be said for this year. You know, with the shift for LEV in terms of team and also role.
Different career direction.
Whereas for
उनको भी
Aspas,
Watchparty पे बिठाने मैं उनको इसलिए मैं दोपहर को बुलाया था कि मैं
so agile as well.
दोपहर को उनके साथ टाइम स्पेंड करूं और फिर शाम को Watchparty.
Hopping up over towards 410, seeing if he can take an early fight.
Good morning, Ben. Good morning.
Put down that pressure. They do force out a high.
This thing, crew undefeated है. आज भी रहेगा undefeated. Crew बहुत अच्छा
steps
खेला.
forwards there actually disguise the steps backwards from the rest of Leviatan, and then he knife out walks away so that there's no footsteps given. So 3 players staying over on A. Now normally you would wait for King to hear people rotating off, but Lev have just gone B, thrown a bit of utility, and they're hoping that that will have pulled players off site. King hasn't heard them leave. So this is a bit more of just a gamble rather than a hard read where your lurker's giving you that great info.
G2 have got players tucked deep onto the side. Valen, he's going to be one to watch. Lowered angles, high tide rips its way through and across, and he wins the fight. Guarding the angles, it's a flood attempt here. Time's running really damn short, really damn low. Can even get themselves onto the side to get this plant online. Where is the spikes been dropped into the middle of nowhere? In fact, I mean, Aspas is going to have to stick this one just where he stands.
It's a very safe plant. LEV's not going to be able to disrupt.
Now, are they going to be able to double up? Where are these bullets flying through? Right through the screen. LEV wins it out just as we were talking about that head-to-head battle. Matters into his own hands here, G2. A great idea of how they wanted to disrupt that one, not falling for that bait and switch.
मैं तो Ben से बात करे बिना नहीं रह पाता. मैं तो रह पाता.
A re-hit. Round 3, they go and throw fake utility over to B. A re-hit.
बहुत बड़ा है ना.
G2 are reading into this. I don't know if this is based on bot prep or whether they've just got a good idea about what's happening. But for this site exec, there's no recon dart available. They're going in without a lot of their utility because they previously just used it to, in an attempt to pull players away, but actually there were still 3 defenders.
ये G2 अच्छा टक्कर देगा नहीं.
So Lev trying to play.
Last round थोड़ा left right हो गया क्योंकि वो लोग का fake buy नहीं किया. Mid वाले को sound नहीं आया भागने का और वो सब.
Same early util here. Snake by shock dart. They know how hard the G2 are playing for those early orbs. So far, Valen's calling has been quite good. Very aware in terms of the possibilities that Lev could be landing over towards A, having good game plans cooked up. This time it's, I mean, heavy emphasis onto mid. I mean, they've got 4 players watching.
Yeah, so you've got this mid re-clear potential going on, and another thing to draw attention to is LEV's ultimate.
Maybe
he's just sent it.
Yeah, just sending it. I think just hearing that pressure over towards the A side, maybe just trying to buy some time. It is a strange one. It's early on into the round.
If you use that for retake, I don't think Lev have any tools to break it.
Now Mazzino, that's his cue, ends up sending the reckoning. Hello, fight! I mean, just startling and scaring each other there, but Icy, he doesn't win it against Text. Valley in a wide face there, just trying to dodge and avoid the stuns that were sent flying. Vulnerable up, but it doesn't matter.
ये राउंड कैसे जीता लेव?
Oh, Jonah
भाई पिट से 2 बंदे आके मार के गया.
Who gave his life and the cove to get the plant.
A real chance here. I mean, Jonah P lurks his way up top, but the angle's watched for by Com here.
What the fuck?
Recovering it. It's a blight on the map as well, and it gives Right angle here for
Big fan
Aspas.
moment by Gekko.
Bren, I think
Gekko
G2
be like,
were in position to
hey.
win this round. And all they had to do was allow Lev to plant on A and then get set up for the lockdown. And I think
नहीं
a
नहीं वो मार
recall through
सकता
to
था
mid,
बे
they should have been able to
मुझे
play
ने
on the
बस
street.
इसने मारा ना
What they're probably scared of is once you
ये
get Aspas in
जो
position
leaf
in the
का
post
round
plant, you might find it difficult to even get to screens. But
Leaf
you can
का
just
round.
put it heaven.
Yeah.
And then play the retake from there. So I'm really confused as to why Leaf decided to use that lockdown so early on. It gave Leviatan still 45 seconds to use Harbor and commit to their attack. I think that was a big misplay.
Almost punish. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you're just making a decision making easy for a team like Lev there. And they see they have that much time on the clock.
The lockdown retake is not very good against the Gecko KO
क्या stream like कर दो जो लोग अभी अभी आए
to break the lockdown. But if you're playing against a Viper Harbor comp, they
मारने
don't have too
पड़ेगा
much.
इस तरह
Maybe they specifically know that Tex and Com have great nanoswarm shock lineups or something, but surely you'd be able to break the nanos. I just... Sometimes Occam's Razer, it was probably just a misplay rather than some kind of advanced 5-head strat.
It's usually the case. Well, single shots will have to be the case here for JP, but only the one before the trade is down and out. And this is really one of the first times we've just ended over towards the B side with 48 seconds left. Second shot of the Outlaw not quite landing. So Aspas is alive and kicking. Will they live to regret that? It's going to be the question. Turret broken. King calling for that pause here, seeking for a kill or two. Shock touch, just obfuscating the angle there, just making it nice and awkward. King does collect up that kill, and now with the plant, does need to be held for it, making sure that nobody can really push him away, which T2
4-1.
They've only really got the classics to work
How to
with.
participate 26
Cover
को
from Com there, making sure that King could get the plant down. And King was pushing forwards with full armor, so wasn't worried about getting shot by the Outlaw.
close the round. Why don't you think of clutch
Aspas
क्योंकि
barely
वहाँ
dodged the
पे
shock dart. And Trent's still got
वो लोग का
another
aim वेम वो लोग का discipline बहुत strong है ना तो clutch करना इतना easy नहीं रहता है
For it, do they? Border util sent flying
वो
on
लोग
top
का
of
read
it.
strong रहता है
Nana swarms and snake bites.
clutch करना बहुत वो लोग 1v2
Dwindles
1v3
your
कैसे
chances and
खेलते
opportunities to
देखो
even win out the round. Valen
up
hopes
down
to do
छोड़ो
some
first
damage here.
floor से बैठे रहते नीचे
Potentially to the economy. Might even really go
नहीं,
down
easy
to
नहीं
a
रहता
player,
है।
honestly,
होता है
because he's gone
clutch
away from the ult, but
इतना
instead
easy
just
नहीं
decides to deny them any chance of snowballing further.
Don't think Valen will find it easy to pick up the
अभी
A
1v4
or
रहेगा
they'll
काशर
be
थोड़ी
pushing
बोलेगा
away
हाँ
every
हाँ हो
round.
सकता है clutch कर सकता है पागल थोड़ी हो
Molly shot combo over there is difficult to try to contest. But this one, while Jonah did open it up, generally speaking, a pretty decent anti-eco from Leviatan. Getting deep, not just playing the default kind of flowchart gameplay on this map.
बिना देखे
Actually
मारो
pushing a
भाई
little deeper, making sure that they clear out
बिना देखे मारो
to get that plant down easily. And we're back to A.
And it's a pivotal one with this round indeed. The economy for G2, they've got to start winning some rounds and stringing them together here and now. An attack early on. That is right on target and right on line for a potential disaster class here for G2. Two players getting tagged down as well to the really just double digits of the HP. Tex is forward now with the rest of his team over the top of the ropes here. They don't want to slow down in the slightest. Mollies might make this one a little bit tricky and a little bit awkward still. Gonna hold down that ground. Aspas delivering death blow after death blow. This guy is just unstoppable right now.
अभी 6-1 होएगा
Nobody on G2 can stop him, especially when King is working his way forward.
अभी भी देखा ना क्या क्या आसपास
smoke
smoke करके dash मारा
He doesn't actually have to brute
एक
force his
smoke
own
डाला
way
right
in.
में भी smoke डाला
He can
पहला
trade
pick
out his
उसने नहीं
IGL.
लिया पहला
Great
pick उसके
1-2
teammate
combo
ने
there
लिया
from Aspas and King.
वो जैसे मारा फट
but
से
also-
smoke से निकल के आके trade लिया और दूसरे को मारा
Maybe this is me with my 2020 hindsight at the end of the
सबसे
round.
पहले smoke
but
dash करके वही
Com
करने का
starts
smoke से
so
इतना
many of
जल्दी
these
नहीं
attack
निकलना
side rounds when he has Hunter's Fury
Space create करना
by just
teammate
droning,
जैसे
getting an
नजदीक
attack
आए
and getting a
तब
kill.
play
It
बना
is just constant that he goes for that. And it's a really common thing that a lot of Sovas do on the attack. And I think G2 instead were anticipating that shock molly. The conditioning of the constant shock molly made them worry more about that than a potential that they could die to the Hunter's Fury.
जितना वो लोग को हिलाएगा वो लोग
Tag off the back of the
का
drone.
retake setup से
It did, like,
उतना problem
so
है
much damage.
Unreal. I mean, a kill found and softening up two of the players that were anchored onto the site.
Yeah.
Just from this here.
Look at that one. The final pulse, I think, hits onto Trent and Valen.
ये देखो
Just
ये
opens
क्या
up
shot था ना
and softens up G2 for the rest of the hit.
Yeah.
And that's ruined them. We're in a similar position to Breeze again, where you only need one rifle round and you're back to an eco, and then it's another rifle round and you're back to an eco.
It felt like I was just describing how important that round was for G2. The economy, if they lose it, they're going to be broken, and they have to get the turning point started here and now in that prior round. It's forced out the timeout now because they've lost it. The economy is going to be in a really poor place. It's only Valorant.
हमेशा नहीं निकलने का smoke से late. अभी वो split था, vulnerable था, करके वो नहीं निकला smoke.
But this is just LEV in world beater form, I think, currently. They've just made such a miraculous 180, which it's, listen, right now we're kind of accepting that, oh yes, LEV, of course, they've always been the super team.
Yeah.
But it hasn't always been the case. They had a slow start to the stage, and honestly, I've seen the playbook written out so many times over the course of just esports history of the super team doesn't work out and it implodes.
Yeah.
And it was that turning point for them, honestly. And I always circle back to Com, I think it was, in a post-match interview, God knows how many matches ago now, but talking about the team communicating, identifying how they wanted to play Valorant as a team. And since that point, they have just looked unleashed.
The meteoric improvements they've made have been astounding to watch. And the players have all got tons of experience, but aligning those different ideas of how to play the game can be really difficult.
Yeah.
There's that shock molly again, this time with Com not having his ult to work with.
With how important the ults are for G2 as well, I mean, you can see it's such a clear game plan for them. They want to go for it every single time. Whenever they can, possibly to just at least farm up the A orb using the high tides, but always push back. Spend it at every single point.
6-1.
G2 have just been on the back foot.
Now, Trent and Valen don't want to take the ult orb too early because it gives information to Leviatan that defense has pushed up on A. But now that they've taken the whole of B, they've missed their opportunity, still don't have the ult online. Not that it'll particularly matter for this round.
Snake bites. Not quite going to land into the corner here, but with the they just think it's entirely cleared up here. Leaf, how's he managed that? 2 kills. Just with the sheriff, can't quite manage the third, but definitely damage being done. Instantaneous on the response, but it's a 1v1 just like that. Flip of a coin. Blink and you will miss it. Trent doesn't quite have the gun to really do the job. Tex with the rifle. He's holding this one at an off angle. Plenty of util though for Trent to work with, and he is going to send loose that dart. Gets the acknowledgement now that he knows where Tex's position is. Dropping down with the turret. A few shots fired, and it's a game of that timings wrapping around. Just the Kraid, a tap, not quite, just full stick in this one. Swinging so wide.
Yeah.
He rips his head clean off.
उसको कैसे लगा कि
पीछे
से डिफ्यूज हो रहा है?
Trent had gotten off that one before he got half.
पीछे से possibility था डिफ्यूज करने.
From Lev, but instead, Tex made to look a little silly in that.
Yeah.
And look at how this play happens. The snake bite misses the corner, and the recon dart takes so long, that pulse, to travel to the corner, that actually it's not clear by the time the cloudburst dissipates.
Concentrates over.
The time, it was ticking there. I mean, the widest of wide swings. Lev will be hoping that they'll be fine still throwing that one away.
It's got G2 back into it though.
Call that one a lifeline.
Yeah. With the ults now as well built up, just from them losing these subsequent rounds. Aspas has gone for these early peaks with the blades. He does make this map look like, again, a playground. Use the term a lot, but he's so agile. Knowing all the ins and outs of the angles. Meanwhile, pressure over towards B. That will force this Viper's Pit out.
They've missed Jonah.
They have missed it.
Oh no, got the tag.
Got the tag, yeah, in the end. And Tex is quick onto the approach. Look at this. He's got to be worried about the snowman. Position. Just doesn't really think about it.
Yeah, Leaf gets value from basically the same spot 2 rounds in a row. And also, it felt like Tex had an opportunity there to spam onto Jonah P. 2 rounds in a row. Maybe Tex is feeling a little bit of sympathy for his former team.
Going easy on him.
They deliberately sent him to Lev. It was an inside job.
For this match right here. Holding the reckoning. But honestly, it just looks like Lev. Okay, it looks like they contact as far as they're willing to go. Setting out the reckoning. No golden beams of light in the air, so they know it's relatively free. But now sent out by G2, Hunter's Fury, Trent. But this particular angle, Aspas trying to go for that same spot once more that just did all that damage from behind the flank. It's all synced up. In the chaos of the situation, Leaf is striking them right where it hurts. Zeno Can't reset the aim and doesn't even expect the second player.
G2 come back. G2 back. G2 back.
Together, right on time.
लग नहीं रहा है मेरे को.
That's that 1-2 punch from the reckoning into
Bro,
Hunter's
already
Fury that I was
about
talking
half
about.
and then he realized he will
G2
not
pick a
do it.
great time to use it. That put a ton of pressure onto
Not
Aspas.
already above
Forced him
half,
to take a fight
but
he wasn't quite ready for.
I think वो
That's now
वाला
2
सीन हो
rounds
गया
in a
भाई.
row where
उसका
Leaf
brain
was
को
also
लगा
had
कि
massive
साइड
impact.
के पीछे से डिफ्यूज कर रहा है.
Picks this one up on Tex.
फिर पीक
Comes
लिया
around
तो
on the
वो
flank
ऑफगार्ड
and
पकड़ा
kills
गया.
another 2.
कि बाजू में बैठा गया.
Lovely round from Leaf. They're gonna have to make an adjustment. It's very
थोड़ा
clear
वो
the area that Leaf is now
brain
playing
lag
on that
वाला
B
सीन था.
defense. In back Snowman, well, he can be isolated. You can try to send a harbor wall that cuts off Snowman and fight into that area.
Yeah. You also have to consider as well, it did take 3
इसने तो
ultimates.
6-1 बोला था. कौन था बे? मैं नहीं था.
Yeah, but I think
कौन बोला?
yeah, I mean that's very valid. It wasn't an eco swing round. Leviatan were coming into it with a
आसपास
bit of a
गुस्सा हो गया
hard
कुछ पे. Binks, your best agent pick for bind
taking
by
his time out,
Raze.
seeking-
Raze.
Right course, I think, as well, to see which direction they really want to take it into, because there are some stuff that they do need to correct, just in terms of how they're ending in some of these rounds. But yeah, that one got a bit funky with the Viper's pit down, the Reckoning and Hunter's Fury to clear through. Just who won't have those tools again.
A couple of mistakes creeping into the game from Leviatan
Yeah.
in what has otherwise been a pretty flawless series so far. So cutting them off early, nipping it in the bud, very important.
Icy with the op. That's interesting.
Huh?
Valid
G2?
with the purchase there. Bit of access
Let's
to
go
it.
G2 बोली वो.
Icy is gonna have to be opping on the low ground here, and you'd expect him to be peeking underneath pipes
Head
towards
जब
the right
land हुआ.
side.
लेकिन वो
But
उसको
that's a
वही नहीं
really
बोला ना.
pushed
उसको
up
लगा
position.
कि
He needs a lot of support. Yeah, this is the angle I'm talking about. But you know, if you miss the shot here, you're really relying on Trent and Valen.
So, you know, there's some level of awareness. No, not quite. Who's going to jiggle for that one? It's a combined offensive. Icy! It's given time to rescope him, but Aspas will not let him get away with that. Who's so hot on his heels, and he is deep into the site now, claiming all of A. Just the entirety forward. Leaf, though, immediate shutdown.
I have the spike.
Another situation, actually, where Leaf's having impact. This is going to be difficult for King. G2 could even play full A retake in this position. I think you can play full A and B retake. As long as Leaf and Jonah group up and find an opportunity to use the lockdown, they should checkmate King.
That's what they're doing. Backs against the walls, making sure that they cover across in the blind spots of each other. But King have open access here to the A side. The plan, a lockdown committed.
Yo.
This will confirm King's position no matter what. Does make it more predictable. He wants to get ahead of it. And guess what? So does Leaf. Way ahead of it. Expecting that to already be cleared out and respected, but King, it will do nothing of the sort. Into the 1v1 over the ropes, missing it! Sliders to blind spots, but maybe just not paying attention in time. It's Jonah P. Seals up the round there.
I thought King had an opportunity. He played that situation so well, but Jonah coming across on the ropes, very unexpected. I think the difference maker in this round is the fact that Icy is able to get the kill on top. This big fracas occurs over towards A, and Icy gets the opener and still has time to scope back in to get another kill on Vent. On Belt, sorry. It shouldn't have required Aspas to shut down Icy. But you can see Leviatan didn't want to bait out that play. They just wanted to crush it. That ended up with them going into the triple stack on A. The off has moved.
Oh, it's getting competitive as well with that early kill. Straight down mid, up the gut. King
जल्दी कैसे मरा
falling
वो?
nice and early. These advantages flow in the way of G2.
I think that's got to just be spammed through smoke, right? King must have bloomed his Viper.
Got a thing.
There's another one.
Insanity
बाप रे,
occurring.
ये
I mean,
close
G2
जाएगा.
just like that. You talk and talk and talk. But LEV being this world beater team, and then just like that, G2, they answer back in kind. Aspas trying to dash and make something of it. It's a flawless round. As quick as you know it, 5-5.
ये close जा रहा है यार.
Another round where Leaf dominates. I'm not exactly sure how he's
पैसा
getting so
बहुत है
much
लेकिन
value
यार
by playing Killjoy in this map. But he feels
भाई
like he's
3
all over
है.
the
ये
place.
लेव का round है.
Some rounds he's defending A, some rounds he's getting spam kills in mid. He gets a spam kill in mid and then pushes Tube for
बहुत
another
गलती हो गया
on
भाई.
the
Mid
text.
में वो बहुत जल्दी मर गया.
While Lev
तो वो open से
fruitlessly
drone
tried to
किया.
drive into B. Getting the op online and getting Leaf more active have been two huge win cons here for G2.
Yeah.
But now, massive amounts of ultimates available for Leviatan.
And so in theory, it should swing really the advantage of the favor for this round here for Leviatan. But already, G2 are making moves into mid.
Yeah, Tex cannot afford to get caught here. The turret watches.
Turret down.
Broken, going for a swing and an attempt. Tex. It's risky.
मार के
But
आता
ultimately
ही
wins it out. McCom helping out with the Hunter's Fury. Any sort of connection?
दो जन थे फिर भी मार के
Sort of
आया.
space gathered, not quite. Team not really taking it just yet.
I think you could slow this down if you wanted to. You don't have to go into the plant immediately.
But they're rushing straight into it. A lot of util as well, expended there with a shock darts. He's trying to break that one. But the plant is down for them.
You've got Pit here, lockdown. Lots of opportunities to make this difficult for G2. The drone's already in. Did it tag onto Mazzino? It did.
Gonna P to get that early tag. Forces out the shock darts here. On the side,
Impossible,
G2.
huh?
How do you get around this? Difficult to chew through and work through. It's a really hard man. I mean, it just obfuscates all the available angles. Wingman sticking onto the defuse here, but broken. An IC decay down to 1, single digits. Dwindling. But the chances here, might be able to get some exit kills, but really that's all about it. So,
God be.
as foretold, expected LEV to be winning that one with that ult advantage. And,
God.
you know, crucially as well, still keeping a lockdown for this
Yeah,
next.
सिर्फ 4-1 कर रहे हो लोग. चार बंदे एक साथ.
To be honest with you, because
हमेशा mid smoke.
I was expecting the
हमेशा
lockdown to either
same
open
wall.
things up or close things out, and Tex instead was so willing to just duel in mid and risk
चार बंदे
potential
कभी-कभी चार बंदे जाओ, कभी-कभी 5 बंदे
But they've
जाओ.
saved lockdown and reckoning for the final round here. So getting greedy with the ultimates, but in a
ये
really
execute में
solid
जो
kind of
वो
way.
लोग split nade वो
Rationing
सब
them
use
out
करना वो
perfectly.
main है.
So they still
वो
have an
angles
ult
का लिखा.
advantage to go into this round. It's going to be very difficult to defend A.
Start that final
चार बंदे
flourish
एक
and
साथ.
finesse here.
फिर
Last
जा
round of
अकेले.
the first half. That's conditioning.
Yeah, that's to stop Valen getting the ult as well.
Now they're going to be letting loose with the own reckoning. Okay, good tags. Push back the
हो गया
players
उनको
on top
sound आ गया
screens.
कोई नहीं है
Aspas
side पे plant करेंगे अभी.
is eager to lay waste, isn't he, to the
Arbor का
opposition.
ने
And
खाली
this
कर
time,
दिया side.
what kind of positions will he be playing into? That's a very deep Viper Orb. It's going to make it tough, but here we go. Icy. The Thrash sends it forwards. Will this team be able to take the space off it? There's so many smokes in the way and out of lockdown as well. Definitely going to be breaking this one. It's just slowing down the timings for G2 once more.
They have a Shock, Molly, and Nano.
And all of that's going to be delaying.
Great डाल दिया.
Towards inevitability here for Leviatan. The players are going to be toppling out towards the back of the side. Aspas cleaned up 3v3, but again, it's that util. How do you deal with these players?
Oh.
Leaf, it's running rampant right now. Spraying through, going to break this code. Already diffused, stuck all the way.
Oh,
As
get
G2
कोई
making
diffuse
it
कर
nice
रहे
and pretty.
रे.
6-6. There's parity here between
आज
these
बंद
two
हुआ है सब
teams
बढ़िया.
on Icebox so far.
Lev looked awesome at the beginning of this. The first
Six
quarter
bolte.
dominated by them. Aggressive post-plant positioning where Aspas could take over.
Leaf
And
पे देख
then
कितना
more
मारा.
mistakes. G2 getting into good positions. Leaf waking up. Top fragging at the moment on Icebox. But all that just to get
ये
even
लेफ्ट राइट
at
हो
the
गया ना
half.
कॉम को देखना चाहिए था.
Just to get even, but maybe
This
that's
is about
enough
round
here. I mean,
निकाला.
16-8 is a
तीन round तो
phenomenal
उसने
performance
निकाले.
of Leaf for Leviatan.
Famous.
Some questions that they need answering as well, I think, on the other side
क्या हो
of
रहा है
this.
कुछ नहीं अभी मारेगा.
Let's set it down.
अभी लोग का
down
डिफेंस नहीं
for-
तोड़ पाएगा.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. A 6-6 half. And now I'm here with the manager of Leviatan, Juan, who is, I was talking to you before, you've been doing the manager thing for a while. And there are people who are watching like the Tariks and the Finesses who have that professional experience. There are people like me who have zero professional experience, people out there who have zero professional experience. So a couple questions for you about being a manager. What is it like supporting your players kind of like away, literally off stage from the side?
Okay, they're pretty like easy to handle.
Yeah.
And then usually you have to have like their necessities like please, like for them to be happy, to be comfortable with the team, on the stage, everywhere. Like they just need to be happy, comfortable, and the only thing they have to worry about is like to play good.
Yeah. So what is the hardest part of your job?
It's related to what I said before,
Yeah.
because there are some. I mean, each player is different, so each player needs some different things. But once you get used to it, like it becomes like pretty easy.
Yeah.
Like you flow with the team,
Is the flow the easiest part of the job?
Yeah, when you flow, it's easy, but like the hard things, like to manage altogether, like to adapt and get that flow,
Now we were talking before. You play Valorant. What's your rank?
भाई क्या लैंग्वेज बात
big
करते हो
tomorrow.
लोग?
All right, well, I didn't. So thank you very much, Juan. But we have a game to get back to. So casters, please take it away.
अंदर बोला 100% इंटरव्यू देना हाँ मेरे को लग रहा है लैंग्वेज बैरियर टाइप का
I believe in you.
I believe too.
It's possible.
It's very easy. Josh has done it.
Yeah, listen, if I did it, then anyone can, can't I? I mean, I am a talentless sack of meat.
No.
We're about to head back into this one, and I think this is still going to be a bit of an uphill battle for G2. With how good Leviatan's defense has looked so far across all of the recent games that we've watched. And with Aspas still looking good. I know it's even, but I think the impetus is on G2 to prove that they can push this across the line.
I would agree as well. I mean, Leaf has been able to do it for them in that first half, but he's playing quite fluid, you know, as much as a Killjoy player can, but taking peaks down mid, winning those fights out.
You can force fights a little bit when you play the attack side Killjoy here. You know, if your team is defaulting towards B, you can try to take a lot of space on the other side of the map. Normally, people are going to play it passively to avoid getting punished, but if he's feeling like he's got a good read on the game and his aim's hot, then you can try to make more aggressive lurks.
A lot of possibilities racing through Aspas's head.
He's
peak from, meanwhile. A noise made earlier by G2.
Clear
Leaf.
Yeah, Leaf's hoping that there was nobody home. Because G2 have droned over towards B and put that cascade up. They're expecting and anticipating that Lev would lean their defense in that direction, but it's still very spread.
As he used here, it's going to be clearing close here, but only 30 seconds left, and Lev have got the right read on this one. The high tide, they want to seek to fight this one and disrupt this plan before it can even go down. It's going to come down to the bullets, spraying through along with the util tonight in the moment. So now G2, they do have to get that move on. Pick up the spike here. Is he up at the top? Not watched for, not even broken, but the right clicks. Mazzino doing his best to sell copies and countless amounts of the bundles here still. Icy presses forwards. He's tucked though, his position is noted. Has to be the combined might and swing 1v1. Leaf versus King. Tapping away.
Oh, bhai, sexy killer Leaf.
Rips it away.
Continuing to have such awesome impact in this map.
He's taken over.
Certainly has. You saw him trying to get the more aggressive lurk play on A. Couldn't find his opportunity. Called for that timing of the hit back over towards B, and then secures it for them in the post. Nice refight there as well, actually, from G2. Icy with the high dizzy, catching Com underneath. And even with Mazzino's response, that's a great beginning for G2.
Oh, yeah. Lev are going to be taking a bit of a wander out towards aggression, I guess, onto the A side, pushing Aspas forward. As soon as Aspas gets no signs of life, they've hard rotated players away, especially with the drone.
I don't think they'll do this as much on the rifle rounds, but on the eco, it's so worth the gamble.
Yeah, a little gamble stack. Definitely win rounds from it.
Jump kar de to sound kaise nahi silent jump.
Breaking the dart. Should be a bit of fear into the backs. At least the back of the minds here, the G2 players. Lev.
Bastard.
Now, at least with the bodies, but again, they can't really quite get it done. They don't have the guns for it, so toppled over G2, and look at that high tide as well. It really makes it so that they can take these easy fights. Frenzy from range.
Abhi ek crucial round hai.
Not up to snuff though. Not quite against the Bulldogs. So G2, 2-round lead.
जल्दी मारो सुनो बे. मेरे साथ जो मैप कर जाएगा ना. अच्छा है.
Make a go of it.
लेकिन मैं next match नहीं कर पाऊंगा.
Plausible. Icy got enough kills in that round that he's one away now from the thrash. And either looking to Wingman plan to get that down, although Lev have been on top of breaking the Wingman, or more likely just pushing people away from the ult orb and then trying to play for it. The economy here, though, it's looking okay actually for G2. They've been able to put together a buy. Only Jonah forcing.
Yeah.
Local family are
going to buy up into it, but still competitive. Dizzy through with the wall. Has to get broken nice and early here. Forwards.
कल मम्मी डैडी और रिलेटिव्स आ रहे हैं. पुणे से पुणे.
That's a good read, I think.
Relatives को पूछे क्या?
Do you know like DJ edit try to spam Icy, so you counter spam.
ये तो G2
Here comes that thrash.
Yeah, using it to really pave the way forwards here onto the site. Make sure you can reclaim it for later.
Flood defense set up to go.
Man, to get this plant online. And here's the flood out through the cove as well. They all take it into the right-hand side and approach over the rafters. They're tearing them to pieces, man. And again, it's down to Leaf. It's a 1v1, just like that. Him versus Aspas, and how much we talked about it, this head-to-head. He has taken the timing forwards on the rope silently. As you go, Aspas, any sort of expectation, the adjust it, snaps it up top there with a rifle to shut down his adversary.
All of that damage already done to Leaf, put him at 37 health, and a single Vandal was all it took from Aspas. I really like the way that both teams have played that.
Family time. हाँ मतलब रिलेटिव्स 3 दिन के लिए तो लोग आ जाए थे आज तो मैं नहीं जा सकता था मेरा रूटर था 6 बजे मीटिंग था 2 Watchparty थी कल एक दिन है परसों ऑफिस नहीं हो सकता वो है
phenomenal stuff. The economy, I thought it would be in a better spot than this. It looked like it was only one player that had forced on the bonus.
फिर अच्छा नहीं लगता रे रिलेटिव इतना दूर तक घुसता है
coming in with only pistols.
मिलने का भी
I'm not too sure if they're just saving up the money as well because they know, okay, well Aspas likes to force this outlaw and everybody falls. I mean, just like that.
I think 2-0.
Expecting it here, but 8-8 for
I think 2-0 guys.
They hit the deck. And if it is the case that they wanted to buy up, take around and buy up rifles instead, they've actually allowed Lev to get closer to the King's one away from getting a pit down.
enter 26
if the ults end up making the difference. A timeout here, tactical called for G2 as they reassess the situation. Leaves excellent play at the beginning of the half, has given him the lockdown. There's lots of places that you can use that on the attack side. Over towards B, which is a fairly uncontested area, you can get the site essentially for free. It's going to create enough space for the wingman plant. But Lev have looked very aggressive and coordinated with the retakes. That would scare me.
Yeah. Because worrying about it, the pressure that it could apply.
Yeah, even if
maybe
the round is probably not going to come down to utility.
Because even better than Aspas,
in your face, fast. So there needs to be extra layers to that. Do you slow them down by getting deeper positions on site? Do you try to set up post-plant lurks? Do you try to just win the round rather than by doing more splitting instead of just going straight in?
Look at this. Aspas was considering the outlaw into the round. Sides against it. King just drops him his weapon.
It might have been a good idea. 3 players on G2 with light armor.
Definitely chances for it, but instead he's going to be saving up for the operator a little bit later, and we know how much damage he was doing on Breeze with that. He took over the game. Now just the rifles over the top here with the ropes. No receive this one on G2's side. Not going to be hearing much noise at all. All eyes and ears face towards B and mid, now grouped up.
There's a bit of danger there with G2 taking the tack time out. It's given them the lead that they can post Aspas in this spot.
So damn aggressive. King just getting sprayed down into the mix. Has to dodge just the sight line here of the Dizzy and the drone, which isn't going to get broken, so it clears the way. Peace of mind for G2.
लग गए भाई deep fight करने वाले wall देखो.
Setup here with a reckoning forward. They want to try and fight this one. Lev really getting active now into the mix, trying to take that initiative.
अच्छा कावा चलते मारा उस 100% चलते मारा
Maybe getting slowed down in a moment, but he does find his target here, sprayed through into the cove. G2 trying to fight over this one too, and now the util is just chopping him up.
एक और है कुछ नेड वेट कुछ है.
The back side
of yellow now. Fuck.
I'm being broken here. Now the lockdown is perfect timing for Leaf.
They're gonna have to go.
And they have to go fast here. Cove has to be broken, and it is indeed. Everybody just getting chewed up, chopped up onto that defuse spot. Aspas, no choice now but to respect this one. Running around with detained, and that is going to seal it. No matter what, gives the acknowledgement for G2. They are just out of there, hightailing it, keeping the guns, keeping the weaponry, and crucially, a bit of a lead.
वो चाहिए था. क्या बोलते हैं?
So I was talking through
G2's responses. एक और बस.
Drag
out that post-plant situation.
And they did apply quite a lot of pressure as the plant was going down. They got up fairly deep. They didn't just use the lockdown to get on site and get a post-plant. They pushed forward. They tried to take space all the way up to danger. Dropped the Viper wall, tried to play with the Harbor wall. And then when they were pushed back by the Reckoning, then Leaf goes for the lockdown. So really good idea.
Sexy lockdown. भाई ऐसे lockdown पसंद है भाई.
Leviatan's fast retake setup there.
ऐसे lockdown.
It's creating more threats essentially. Yeah. Aspas was A in the previous round. Now he's going to B. Both times G2 have avoided him. Not by virtue of having any knowledge.
This time just chance, really. Look at a
draw, especially when he's
an operator online.
And another round where G2 do a good job pushing back the defenders and picking up an ult.
My problem है अभी.
Flooding through, Lev looked like they wanted to have a good chance here, just trying to flood back into this one. Maybe with the Hunter's Fury, they might still choose to. Cleaves its way forwards, only the one tag here. Icy not going to be pushed back away from the plan either. I believe that's just the wingman. So, into the post plan with the pit down. Lay it out on top of it. Got everything necessary here. King is way ahead of the rest of his team. It's caught, a nice little timing there, but has to dodge and juke away from the volleys and still dominating these angles.
Nice,
from the pit.
भाई ये लोग का अल्टीज हेवी वो कर रही है बे. हेवी एडवांटेज दे रहा है G2 का अल्टीज.
This will be the 10th round for G2.
I think Valen's doing a great
पहले
job.
जो अल्ट पे निकाला अभी इसमें अभी नेक्स्ट राउंड से सोवा के अल्टी में निकालेगा या फिर गेको के अल्टी में निकालेगा. वन अल्टी जोन वन राउंड वर्क कर रहे हैं वो लोग.
Just making it tough for Leviatan to always set up these retake scenarios.
ये अभी लास्ट राउंड है. ये राउंड लेव को जीतना पड़ेगा वरना गाफ.
Thrash Hunter's Fury to work with. An opener and a closer again.
Yeah.
I think Valen's got a great idea of how to snowball these kind of rounds.
फिलहाल लेवल को कोई टूवन किया है.
I was talking about the fact when we were at the 6-6 half that I thought it was the impetus was on G2 to prove that they could actually get things across the line.
एक बंदा भूत मार रहा है लेव को लेकिन.
And I think as much as he's always carrying that weight of responsibility, it comes to Aspas again. He has the op. He saved it from the previous round. And he's just not been quite able to get the read on where G2 are going.
And that could be a blessing or a curse, because when you're playing full retakes into these comps with an operator, you're late to the party often.
But ये round main है भाई. ये round main
takes you out of the game.
Now he does have Bladestorm to work with now as well. So he's gonna have chances early round to set up an op peak, and then he could retake with Bladestorm and just, you know, pass the op along to King or something like that. But getting him in position to actually be a threat in the early round is something that G2 have failed to, Leviatan have failed to do the last couple of times. Because G2 are not really, they're not messing around. They're not defaulting. They're picking a side of the map and they're committing on it. And so if Aspas guesses wrong at the start of the round, he's out of it.
Honestly, gameplay.
क्या होता है? Sound देता है साइड में कोई है क्या? और दो तीन मिनट में स्टन सेट है. और उधर माफ करो 2 साल पुराना फॉरवर्ड.
You can't do that as much when you're outside cycle. Aspas looks like he's looking to try to walk down tube and get the peak here with a recon dart and he might end up finding an early pick onto Jonah, but they're just not giving it to him right now. However, I do still want to draw your attention to the sight line that Aspas is on, because at the moment there are 2 portions of G2 that are unconnected from each other, whereas previously we've seen G2 very grouped up on one side.
थोड़ा टाइम बाद वो है. थोड़ा टाइम बाद
though, just to remove the turret. He wants to be mobile, following where the action is currently. Well, that noise being made, Massino, an attempt to get that mid-round information for his team to play off. Just
2 minute में unban हो
He's
जाएगा.
got the information, but what cost here for them? Because G2 now open for the taking.
ये round must win है लेव must.
There's so much you can really
या
do
फिर
in this
save
spot.
करो.
Like I said, I mean,
चलेगा.
waves of smokes and util.
8-11 से निकाल भी
Exactly
सकते
like you can
हैं.
get aggressive either, but he does still have the dash active and the Bladestorm plant. Wingman from IC not being spammed down, so still getting into the post here for G2, not being pushed back away from it.
I think this is probably a situation where you want to just, I mean,
going for the spam kills. I mean, vulnerable Dub Leaf just locking down that angle. This guy is on fire right now. Aspas.
सिर्फ for healthy relation से daily left हो रहा है. तो मतलब कुछ गड़बड़ है यार. नहीं होना चाहिए.
Yeah, I was halfway through the retake. I was like, right, well, drop the ult over the King and see, pop the Bladestorm, see what you can do. But
हमारा तो अभी तक लफड़ा नहीं हुआ.
He's not going to be able to save the Aspas.
At least he's got the Bladestorm to work with in the next, so it's a buffer for the
Divan
economy.
भाई
You know, at
अगर
least silver
girlfriend है
lining,
तो अभी भी time
trying
है.
to go for it. But I just want to
अगर
take a moment
life
to again
wife है
credit Valen's
तो
calling,
बात कर लो यार.
because they've come out the back of a
बोल दे
Leviatan
मुझे नहीं झगड़ा
timeout and
पसंद.
decided to run a fake. 2 rounds in a row, they've just grouped up and picked to sight, exec on it with ults. And then this round, where they could do the same again with the Thrash and then Hunter's Fury, they actually fake A.
लेकिन गर्लफ्रेंड है तो अभी भी टाइम है.
And they catch Mazzino going for a really wide jump peak, not expecting anyone to be there.
Forcing a hand here for Lev.
Oh yeah, monster
And
on the
again with
loose.
G2, I mean, you run
Yo,
the face,
yo.
the conditioning is so damn well timed here. 5 players grouped up from G2. They're not hiding their intention here over towards B.
Yeah, you run the fake in the
अरे वो
previous
सब
round,
मैसेज
now
मत
you can
डिलीट
use the
कर रहे
ults.
हैं.
Thrash to open, Hunter's Fury to close.
इसका
And this is
opinion
where
है
you
ना,
need
चलो.
hero plays.
That's why Aspas is taking those liberties.
Levi को support करो.
Up now again with the
Levi जीतेगा और कौन?
forwards.
If Tex gets a kill, he's got lockdown. And a lockdown here is amazing for retake. But he would need that kill.
And how does he even find it?
भाई सोवाल्ट भी है.
Walls on walls here, flying forwards into your face. It's a thrash. It's going to be expended here and pushing you away along with the darts, the rays,
So
all
ulti bhi
that
hai.
util emanating out. Out of late lurk
So
as
itna
well on
close
top
to
of
खेल
it.
रहा है.
He's really causing that distraction behind them. They've got so much to worry
Fuck
about
so
right
ulti
now.
use नहीं होने वाला है.
How do they really even deal with it?
लग गए भाई. Next round के लिए use होने
shut
वाला है.
down in his place here. Up to 12 now for G2.
They didn't even need the Soveroll. They had so many other ways of closing
तो
out
वो
that round.
पीछे चला ही गया था. बे अल्ट
They
मार
had
दे.
Thrash
भाई
to stop any
upset
fast
क्या?
retake from happening.
एक
Leaf
और
was on the
upset?
reflank through mid. G2 are comfortable easing into their calling. And even their Valen catching 2 before the cove can be used.
क्या recon बे? क्या recon?
Massive credit to G2.
Yeah, I think they're calling a great game, and I think this map shows
उस गिरो
you
बोला
how
था तू.
momentum becomes real.
Primer के कैसे नहीं
It's
28 का
always
है.
described as like a vague process, but it's having that conditioning, it's having those economy spirals.
भाई लीफ बहुत मारा है भी. बहुत मारा है लीफ ने.
Damage.
Made a footstep, I think.
Did hold up. How's that
Oh,
fight going,
close,
Leaf?
close.
Losing
HP
it to
देखो
rare
उसका.
one. Sitting at the top of the scoreboard, I believe 28 kills to his name. With him going down, first kill advantage now going away of Leviatan. Maybe that's exactly what they ordered.
Yeah, taking a risk. and
अबे
it paying
भाई
off.
जो
They've
बोलता है
refined
वही
so many
कास्टर
different
बोलता है
things
तुरंत
to
बाद
get players
गजब
in
ही है.
advantage
Love you.
situations. This is one of the rare times that they've got one.
Toxin screen down.
वो किलजो अल्ट के लिए सोवा यूज
Comms
करेगा
position
या
is really
पोस्टमैन
odd.
के
You
लिए
don't
यूज
normally run
करेगा.
your Sova behind yellow.
Just the off angle here in the movements. Is Com going to be a backup policy right from the back here with the Guardian in his face, but he's
Oh
blinded
fuck.
up. Dizzy doing most of the work there for it.
ये लोगों को
so
डीप लेना
kills.
पड़ेगा.
Screen down.
Tex
वरना
seeking
किलजो
that
अल्टी
time. He's
मारेगा.
walked up right past even the wall. High
लग
tight
गए.
on high tight again. It
लग
cuts up these
गए.
angles and it's an unfortunate
Nice.
one here because Mazzino just doesn't realize that he's not even set up for that fight here. But as it fades away, doubled up.
ये problem
They're
है
able to
अभी.
make that one happen. Valen making noise
ये
now up through
problem
the
है.
flank here. They've got to try and deal with him in a dash to disengage and away.
अब नहीं है
Fading through
problem.
lockdown. Needs to be broke.
जॉर्ड बे.
Delivers that death blow.
बोला था ये लोगों को फाइट लेने पड़ेगा.
Flourish and finish. Map 3. Ready and waiting.
सेक्सी खेला बे. सेक्सी खेला. सेक्सी
G2
खेला.
proving that they can hang
सेक्सी खेला.
with some of these top teams.
Basically,
An excellent
ये
attack
कोई important
side
है.
from
basically.
Valen. Just so many opportunities to
ये
flex
गेम से ये समझे
his
कि
calling.
गेको इम्पोर्टेंट
And
है.
Leaf up at
समझ
the
रहे
top there, almost 400 ACS, 28 kills across 21 rounds.
Yeah.
डोंट को खत्म
Showing you
करके
that
जाओ.
star power of two.
नहीं मतलब
Opposed
ये
to
मैच
crossing
पूरा
in the
खत्म
lead.
करूंगा
Who's
यार
gonna play
5
to
बजे
shut down
तक.
Aspas, make sure
5
that
बजे तक
impact
मैं हूँ.
was mitigated. To be honest,
लेकिन
it's a
इसके
bit of a
बाद
mixture
वाला
of
मैच देखा
calling,
तो
but also
7:30
Leaf
8
having a
बज
good
जाएंगे
game.
रे. तब तक नहीं कर
Definitely didn't
पाऊंगा.
hurt them. Popped the hell off, and what a comeback that was.
True
as well
versus
after
loud
getting
mobile पे देखो.
brutalized in map 1 of Breeze. They've made it a possibility. They have a chance here. We will be heading over to map 3.
मेरे गाफ मार लो प्लीज. मुझसे अभी पढ़ाई भी नहीं हो रही. ये गाफ मारने से पढ़ाई होती रहती तो अब तक हो जानी चाहिए थी. काफा तो मारते रहेंगे गाफ. गेको हर एक मैप में यूजफुल है. गेको ओपी है बेबी. ये मैं कहूं. यार मेरा पैर को कुछ तो हेवी लगा है यार. समझ में नहीं देखते यार. मेरा पांच उंगली जो है ना उसका जो छोटा उंगली ना पैर का यार नीचे सूजन है. रुको पानी लेके आए. पापा क्यों मारेंगे का पढ़ाई नहीं होगा तो पापा ही मारते भाई मेरे यहाँ पे तो पापा मारते थे
Forever, yeah, yeah, yeah. I burned your letters, and I'm just forgetting about you. I'm just forgetting about you. Talking to myself and I can't focus. Yeah, I'm broken. The door is closing. Wanna be a part of something more than this. I've lost control of it. I've lost control.
Icy has a flash to set him up if they want to go for this one. Ult committed. Fight.
Desde atrás King acaba con la vida del robot, rompe la definitiva, Maurino prevalece tremendo.
We got a game, folks. We're going to map 3. G2 Esports manages to shut down Leviatan on Icebox, and now we find ourselves in a very fun situation here. Of course, Golden Boy alongside with Athena. You got Mimi and Ender. Let's just go ahead and dive right into this one because there was a lot of interesting things to take away from this game, but I think above all else, Valen just called a great game, was very smart with how he was using, all of the pieces that he had available to him, and it just felt like it was what you want to see from an IGL like him.
Yeah, it was a good start for this Leviatan squad to get going into this one, and then you had that moment, which was so strange, right? Tech swinging, losing out on that clutch, and then it started snowballing out of their way. Leaf in particular, I think, had a ton of impact with these reflanks and was really punishing the Leviatan posts.
It really felt like they managed to use their util in all the right places. I feel like this is such a big contrast for G2 from last game where they weren't able to use their util to punish and capitalize on kills, and now they completely denied retakes. They denied so much and just allowed Leaf to lurk into places that he should not have been in.
Yeah, and rightfully Icy has been a magnet for criticism for this team, but in this game his op towards the second part of that first half, super impactful to continually get these opening kills. But we have to talk about the second half, where I think it was a complete failure of Leviatan to adapt.
Yeah, they showed, especially in the second part of that, no ability to contest space around B at all. They did not do a lot of aggressive fights into B main, and the times they did, it was a very strange jump peak, really swinging out into the open and dying, and then trying to play full 5-on-5 retakes over and over. But you're doing it against a comp of G2s that is so stacked with post-plant utility. 4 different agents have mollies or shocks.
I mean, you know what's so weird is on Breeze, they did so good at denying the plant and denying anyone going through choke points with their util, but Lev just did not do that at all this game. And all the controller walls, they couldn't get past it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it came down to the difference in post-plant utility. But before we even get into that, we got to talk about Leaf.
Yes.
This guy was lights out this game, almost dropping 400 ACS.
on the Killjoy.
Bro,
Yeah,
thank you
and-
for
and
the
a lot of
$2.
this too was in the post plants
Thank you,
around
thank
that
you,
B
thank you
site
for
where
the
he was just
$2.
flying and getting multiple kills. And
Confused
I
again,
think the big difference I saw between this G2 and Icebox compared to Breeze was that they weren't overcommitting on the rewraps on attack after they plant the spike and then sending those flanks. Leaf did it a couple of times, but more often than not, he was sticking with the team and getting 2-3 kills in those post plants from back yellow.
And seeing this comp now for the second time from G2, I really like it compared to the default Harbor Viper. We saw how good the Gecko and Sova tools were in the post plants and for those flood retakes. On the other hand, with this single Sova initiator, Leviatan, it felt like they were running out of tools to make those retakes happen on that B site in particular. 7 rounds where their opponent had a post plant. Lev didn't win a single one of those retakes.
I mean, a really big thing that Lev was trying to do around their defense was play around their opera and set up Aspas. But G2 was literally just finding where Aspas was and was avoiding him straight up.
Again, goes back to Valen's calling.
Exactly. They knew where the weak spots were. Leaf at some point is just entry fragging his Killjoy. Like everything was going really
The
well.
Leaf rounds were ridiculous. He's literally just running in.
Yeah.
If you look at him, I would think he's still playing Jet.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't even be mad about that because the way that Leaf had approached that whole game is something that you certainly need to be proud of if you were a G2. But now you're going into, well, some dangerous waters here. We go into map 3. The stakes are high here. There's a lot on the line for both of these teams. 100%. But for G2, it's
So they're trying to make Sen out.
Are just playing in this game, right? Because right now there are 3 teams in the Alpha group with 3 wins. G2 were not supposed to win this series. If they somehow manage to win map 3, they are then tied with those 3 other teams with 3
Sen
wins.
qualify ho
And
jayega yaar.
Sentinels will sit in sole last place in Alpha group, which we know is the harder group.
I mean, I literally have no idea what is going on. This 1 week that you guys invited me to be on this show has just been
blew it all up, you know. I'm real.
Like you guys brought me on the most confusing roller coaster ride ever.
Every game that
By
we think is
Sen
gonna
का
be a
4-2
stomp is a
होने
close
वाला है.
game or an
100%.
upset. Every game that should be a banger has been a stomp. It's turned everything topsy-turvy. But the real victim of this, honestly, is Sentinels, right? Their weak start in a couple of these games has meant that they are now at real risk. But for G2, winning this makes playoffs so much more of a possibility.
Yeah, and for Sentinels fans, you are now Leviatan fans, okay? You need
Congratulations.
Lev to win. Not
Buy the
need,
jersey,
but
buy
it
the
will
bundle,
make your
you're
chances
in.
way better.
You know why things have been so crazy?
Why?
Because
Sen
it's
4-2 easy
super
qualify.
weak.
हाँ बे.
That's why, baby. I just wanted to get the explosion in there one last time. Yes.
No, we
All right, let's go ahead and move forward. They want to kill me. To map 3, we got Lotus on the
Winner of
docket.
Madrid playoff के लिए
We
qualify
saw
नहीं कर.
this
लेकिन वो लोग
one
पास champion
goes
points बहुत है
yesterday.
बे. वो
A
लोग
lot of
championship
attack
तो जाएंगे
rounds were
जाएंगे.
won. Question is, you know, what are the adjustments that can be made here, Ender? You know, who are you really going to be keeping your eye on as we get ready for this map?
I mean, I'm just still remembering the 47 bomb from Aspas on this Lotus map.
Yeah.
So as boring as it does get, I do think G2 still need to have a focus of getting around this guy. We heard Josh RD come out after game 1 and say, hey, we did a bad job of dealing with Aspas. In game 2, we need to do better.
Vishal
And
bhai,
what did
no
they do?
caps?
They
कौन
called
से Vishal
around
bhai को बोला
Aspas
बे?
on their attacks. They weren't just running into that operator. Now it's going to be the
चाहिए.
Rays coming in for Aspas, but they still need
PRX
to
किधर है?
I mean, I
PRX
feel like
specific
going
में.
into this Leviatan, if they can pull out the way that the things that they normally do, like on that sunset where they have those trap plays, Lotus is a map to do it, especially with those raised names.
बस बैक
Really
रेड
being
बड़ी
able to fight
पुनिश मोड को
forward.
दे दो
I feel
मेरी
like
साइड
if they
से मेरी
just
गाफ
have
मारते
that
रोज.
confidence in order to play the way they normally play, they can set themselves up for success. But
Only
I
8
mean,
champion
Leaf
points
going
है, that
crazy,
is
if
not
he just
enough
starts
if
running
they
in
keep
like
losing.
crazy,
बहुत
I don't
enough
even
है.
know how to predict this.
You saw that manila folder that GoKid was carrying? It's just Aspas go kill in there.
बहुत enough है.
15
अभी तो
times.
2 और matches बचे
Seriously
हैं
though,
बे.
they have a lot more depth on this map. They've looked great here. Their win over Sentinels was not just off Aspas. It was off an incredibly well-called
Dale
attacking
Mithul sir,
side.
long
They do a
time.
great job of pushing and pulling in the
ये
mid round. K-Rock
last match
is
G2
great
जीत
as
रहा है.
AJ on this map.
Yeah, I think all of that is true, but to me, the single strongest
Problem
thing
है
they
कि
do
लोग
is
का
the
Leaf का
opening
impact
round
बहुत था.
skirmishes. I think they are elite on that
और
front.
Lotus
The
जैसे map
variation they
में
can pull, especially when they fight in both
उतना
down
impact
and
होना थोड़ा
bubble,
मुश्किल
you are
है.
hard-pressed to
ये
find a
छोटू
team
map
that does
है.
better than that.
They also do a lot of really good mid-round reclears that are super effective if you're not ready as an attacker. We're into the agent select here. We shouldn't expect any surprises, but what we're very likely to get is Icy on
अभी
the
वाला
Rays. And
LCQ
again, the
ही है
focus
ना
has
जो
to
चल
come
रहा
to
है.
him.
नहीं,
All
last
those
chance
open round
qualifier वो
open
है.
round skirmishes, all
अलग है.
those big moments are so often
अभी तो
built
प्राइस और
around
चैंपियन
the
पॉइंट्स
Rays
के
on
लिए हो
this
रहा है
map.
कप
He
2.
needs to be
उसके
great.
बाद
I mean, we
स्प्लिट
just saw him
2
play
होएगा.
Gecko being really good util for
वो
the team, being good kind of behind enemy lines. We saw Leaf
Champions
take
के
that
लिए
forward
main.
positioning. But
It's a
on a
different
map
brand
like
now.
on a map like Lotus, you need need to be pushing. You need to be confident. You need to be taking all this map control. So we'll just see if he gets to do it.
This is going to be awesome.
Red
Here we
2
go.
सीधा
The
champion
third
qualifiers
match.
के
Can
लिए.
G2 pull this out? That's going to be a massive one if they're able to do so. Or can Leviatan shut it down here and now? Let's send it over to Brennan Sideshow for the call.
And you guys have teed this one up perfectly, I think, as well. Just showing
So
the table
now
between these two teams now is
Master,
really so
won by
important for
two
G2 to take this
different
away from Lev. It's a matchup. Listen, we didn't think it was going to be the case. Lev have been looking lights out,
Two
but it
different
brought them
teams
to
जाएगा.
map 3. And there's chances here. There's real chances starting on Lotus as our third and final map.
And it's not even a joke. Like, it actually does affect Sen's legacy.
It really does.
देखते हैं क्या?
Because they're down at
Sen
the bottom of the
qualify तो
table,
होगी बे.
fighting against teams like G2. This is a prime opportunity for G2 to come out with an amazing upset victory. But they
Heaven
have
के
to
लिए
deliver
Heaven नहीं है.
excellent performance
Map
here on Lotus. We have seen
Just join
the
कैसे में
attack side
1-1
teams
score है.
generate crazy streaks across Super Week.
ये अभी
And so
प्रॉब्लम
my
है.
eyes kind of go to the
इसमें मेरे को
defenders
लगता नहीं है
weirdly
कि
enough,
लीव
of
का
like, can you
इम्पैक्ट
stop
उतना
that?
ज्यादा रहेगा
How
जितना
rounds is
ब्रीज
going to
में.
be enough.
How do you avoid that from happening? Something to highlight early on. We call this the Chad pistol round buy. This is
On the
wild.
attack side as well.
Yeah.
I mean, normally you want your ace player to be, you know, taking the initiative, moving in with some satchels.
Yeah, normally you either want a satchel for some space creation, or if you're going into like a B exec, or you'll want the boombot to be able to work with, you know, sometimes the teams will run like nano swarms on the Killjoy too.
Not Aspas though. Sheriffs. And a slow take of A-Rubble once they realize that they're pretty much being gifted it for free.
The door being opened as well. Favors
Rotations
the
है ही
attackers
नहीं
in this
बे.
kind of
Rotations
spot.
है ही नहीं.
Gives them easy
वो लोग को
entry
पता ही
if
नहीं
they
G2
choose
को
to
क्या होने
pivot,
वाला
but
है.
Just holding for that util in their hand. Valen spots it out with a jiggle. Wall up in their faces. Now the door open wide. They're really starting to press forwards here. They're all tucked in through tree. The nade pushed them back and away. Paranoia. Icy not looking behind him. Again, his back is being covered here. Aspas. What is that? Adjustment, really. A flick of the wrist, whatever you want to call it. He has just opened up the sight.
That's a
ऐसे भाई
ridiculous kill.
चुपा लगा के बैठा था वो.
Icy should have had that one, but Leaf responds. Leaf up top.
He's nice and fast into the action, isn't he? Right into the fray here. 2 versus 3. Still have to have some more magical moments. And Trent, he delivers one. Right into that lapse here still. Leaves it to Leaf. But he had a monster class performance.
Yeah.
What is that kill? It's traded by King.
Yeah, it doesn't matter in the end. But for a moment,
Yeah.
there, I thought Leaf might have just blessed the classic to deliver something for him. Lev, though, the way that they burst
भाई
out
क्या
through that
shot
smoke,
मारा बे.
excellent stuff with the haunt. I felt like Icy was good for it. He was holding the right
खतरनाक
point
shot
in the
था
smoke
Aspas
as well. Just the reaction time's better for Aspas, anticipating a player there, perhaps.
Magnetic, just snap into the head.
And it didn't really matter that he had the sheriff, but certainly
Good
stylish.
start. लिव भी पॉज हो गया ऐसे
Good
के
opening
लेके.
beginning
उसने
here
बोला
for
मेरा हो
Lev.
गया.
G2. Plenty of ways to now play this one here.
Sexy
on the
and
eco
Ericon.
rounds of the defending teams. You can try and fight for some of these orbs. See Mazzino, he's a little bit scared here of the potential of a trap play.
Yeah, there's another thing I want to point your attention to, which is that King's Viper Orb has been thrown as a liner so that it blooms into C. And this is going to keep players attached to C. Because that Viper Orb means that you can exit out. It makes it more difficult to hold, more classic kind of ways of, you know, this is like a normal sightline that people would hold for information over towards C.
Just removes it though.
Yeah, and it's freed up A entirely.
Pre-side.
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
King,
Lev have this knowledge now. Look at this. I mean, the
Aspas
players
is staying around.
essentially in their spawn. Aspas is staying around. He throws a nade out.
The nade is great. It's going to keep people tethered over towards C. It's going to allow Lev to stay there. Or rather, allow Lev to get the plant down on A and cement their position. But
बहुत और बूटा लिया.
one of the side effects of getting this kind of instant plant is that G2 might try to deny ult orbs to Lev. It is possible.
Or they walk right into him.
Yeah.
Aspas, the target. You don't really want to give the ult orbs to. You don't want to give him any sort of kills. Okay, everybody just stand there with their shots.
लड़ते रहना
here.
पड़ेगा बे लोग
Aspas
को.
forwards, pass that one way.
बात
And now
अच्छा है
it's
ना
two
बे.
away from the
इतना deep
showstopper.
जाओ.
Yeah,
लोग
I
spikes
really think
से
this is a
40
misplay
नहीं
by
सकते.
G2. I think in this kind of spot, you have such a low chance of winning the round. You
God.
actually want to deny ult orbs in this spot. Aspas is now 2 away from getting a showstopper. And this is how, you know, Valen should recognize it. This is what he did on Icebox, is generating
मैं अभी
that
तक चुप
momentum.
पे हंस रहा हूँ.
It's the basic game plan. We talk about it almost every single time for the attacking side.
But I think G2, all right, this is
Chupa to
where
diya tha
are
bhe.
going to pull something different out of the book. G2 need to be ready for some kind of fast set play. What do
VCT
your
अभी
early
finish
round
हुआ, अभी
protocols
वापस
look like
VCT
here?
और फिर अगस्त में वापस
This is
VCT.
looking like a clash
तो
over towards
VCT
Rubble.
का दो जो मास्टर्स हो रहा है वो हो रहा है प्राइस के
It's going to be
लिए,
a horns up over the top towards the
जो
top
प्राइस
left of
पूल है
left.
उसके लिए,
There's a lot of pressure.
प्लस चैंपियन पॉइंट्स के लिए. तो पॉइंट डिसाइड करेगा कि कौन सी टीम चैंपियनशिप के लिए क्वालिफाई होगा. तो सबसे मेन ऑफ द मेन इवेंट है वैलो का. और जो स्प्लिट 2 होएगा वो होएगा चैंपियंस क्वालिफायर के लिए.
And the all being picked up there. Few stray bullets, but nothing connecting. Aspas now on a way to the big one.
My team is going to qualify 3 teams per group. So every region, 6 teams will go to
This is when
playoffs.
you were talking about what options are available for G2. I wanted to see them fight over at least one
और
of these
फिर
orbs.
playoffs से फिर मास्टर्स में जाएंगे 2 teams.
They've made this very winnable for Leviatan. Because now you have to worry about that showstopper, and what do you do with it? They also haven't used this opportunity as the ult orb is getting taken over towards Mound.
Split 1 is for us, split 1 is for price.
Just got a passive setup everywhere around the map. They're giving
Price
Lev
pool.
their run of the place. The only benefit to G2 right now is the time on
Championship
the clock.
points.
30 seconds, 3
तो
players
तुम लोग मालूम भी
defending A.
पड़ेगा तुम लोगों का प्रैक्टिस कितना हुआ है, खेल कैसे रहे हो, क्या चीज़ पे तुम लोग वर्क करने गए हैं. तो by the time you reach to champions, एकदम top quality gameplay देखने मिलेगा. 3 teams, not 2. Playoffs के लिए 3 है अभी.
2 players here, a little bit of a cross there. This was one into the pit. Orbs dropping, icy. Chances to come alive into this
Region
one.
से
Maybe
3
can
है
make
क्या?
something happen for the rest of his team. But
हाँ 3 से 9 12 correct 3.
They want to clear Tex first. This is a new protocol that teams are adding on the retake.
Why VCT India, why not bro? क्यों करेंगे VCT India में?
Got the util. It's sent flying forwards and away. Mazzino still with a high ground position, but he tucks away just at the wrong time. Aspas dropping them all like flies in a moment.
And that's the bonus round for Lev.
Split 2 Shanghai होगी, split 2 पता नहीं
Too
किधर.
passive. Offering Aspas both ult
उसका idea
orbs.
नहीं है.
Hey, you want them both? Well, we'll just decide to
It's
fight over
crazy.
nothing.
Yeah, this isn't exactly, rocket science. Teams have been playing
चाइना भी है ना, हाँ.
for quite some
Total
time
4 region.
with these comps. You know how
Pacific,
they operate.
EMEA, अमेरिका और चाइना.
The one silver lining is that you don't have another
ये
ult
क्या shot
available for
था?
Leviatan
Ping
to
करके
use.
मारा
But the
उसको.
problem is they're now dropping G2 down onto an eco. So this becomes the kind of like farm round where you just run around and try to build up ults.
GG लग रहा
We're
है.
already into things here. King got punished.
चैन चैंपियंस के लिए पहले से क्वालिफाई ना मेरे हिसाब से, क्योंकि वो लोग का पॉइंट्स 8 है शायद.
We'll just take this
चैंपियन
one as a bit
पॉइंट्स
of a
प्लस
gimme,
अभी
try
नेक्स्ट
to
2
look
मैच
for
भी
fight
जीतने वाले, तो 10 हो
for
जाएंगे.
something.
G2 have recognized at least they overwhelm that A side, so they take up the orb before it's even available. Lev have got different ideas.
Good paranoia.
Yeah, orb's going to be pluming here. Good movement as well to just topple themselves up onto the box. Showing a P, just the one before eventually falling. Smoke timing. Blocks off the heaven angle, but there's a slightest gap. Can't quite nail it. Leaf was looking for an easy shot there.
Shot,
Spam
babe.
kills as well. Trent tucked close and a bit of a one and done, and it's really just a one and none.
I'm not sure I'd want to push that, Zeno, because you know that there's a player inside there with a Marshall.
Marshall will do it. Hold up. This is eventually going away at G2. I mean, he's picked up this upgrade now, and Leaf, yes, his position is noted and known. Aspas, but it's the win out this fight. He's being distracted. Flying right over him with the satchels in play. Icy, it's making all sorts of distractions. Up and over you go, but you ran out of bullets. The right click.
Oh fuck.
Only the one. Leaf.
भाई लीफ कितना इम्पैक्ट लाएगा.
Conversion and G2.
इंडिया में वैल्यू Esports ग्रोथ है. मतलब अभी तो प्लेयर्स बहुत कम है ना. अगर तो अच्छा परफॉर्मिंग प्लेयर है तो अच्छा खासा सैलरी मिलेगा. बाद में आगे जाके क्या पता बाहर की टीम भी उठा ले. कितने सारे प्लेयर T2 से आए हुए हैं.
And then when they walk in, they're walking into a crossfire from waterfall. Yeah. It's just, there's simply no need for it. You have a plant in a spot where you can play it from mound. They just got roped into playing things too aggressively there.
4-0 होना था.
That's the kind of mistake that G2 were begging them
चैंपियंस
to
के लिए
make.
डायरेक्ट टिकट मिला ना. पॉइंट्स बहुत मिला है बे. डायरेक्ट टिकट करके कुछ नहीं.
The defensive side of Lotus as well, question becomes how many rounds do you really need? Already one on the board this early.
डायरेक्ट टिकट किसको नहीं है इसमें?
Potential's definitely there, but this time Lev moving over towards the B side. Knife 4.
इस बार जो अच्छा खेलेगा
There's no quite
उनको points मिलेंगे जिनके points ज़्यादा है.
Rapid by G2. But they're just flooding right back into this one, making sure that all those noise and sound cues cut away. There's nothing really that Lev can rely on.
वो एक गलत लीफ के राउंड की वजह से भी देखो
just
बे.
making sure that Aspas has no avenues.
अभी तो पैसे भी नहीं है. 3-3 हो गया. एक
Valen and Trent to immediately pop
एक
through
लीफ
of it
के
and
राउंड की
just
वजह से.
nightfall the whole of the site. Really fast reactions. It's left Aspas in a essentially unwinnable spot.
प्लेऑफ खेलने वाले हो? हाँ.
For a player of
सब
his
मैचेस नहीं
caliber,
खेल पाऊंगा
you've
क्योंकि
got to give
Watchparty
respect, but you don't want to give too much space.
Take the fights together has to be the call by G2. And just spamming, waiting off somebody's contact. Yeah, as soon as Leaf takes the point, everybody else will follow through, so even if Leaf didn't get the kill. Locking it up, so G2 on that second round now. Stringing it together, what's the economy looking like for Lev? It's broken.
Split वाला ही change.
Yeah, they might try to put something together because they're very close to ult. But look at the pace on this. There's a lockdown, there's a nightfall, they're applying pressure. They're going for this flood retake
So
before
quick.
the plant has even gone down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even, you know, technically a retake round, but they give the site and then they collapse back onto it.
They are mine.
हैं? दो
There's
जगह
a
आवाज आ
tiny
रहा था.
amount of danger here, but really not a lot. A Vandal Guardian in the hand of
1% के लिए
Aspas.
कट ऑफ से
It
रह
could
गया. कोई सीन नहीं
snowball
यार. 92
if Lev
अच्छा ही
get a
है.
pick.
I just said with how close they are. Burning the showstopper. Even the Viper's pit as well. If they get themselves onto the C site, it would be difficult for G2, but they're actually going to use their own Viper's pit first. Trying to P, making sure that he holds down that one choke point. Everybody now making movement towards B, but G2, look at this.
There.
It's diligent and discipline together, just holding it with a triple face out towards A. They are going to be so fast if they choose to flank this one. And already there, I mean, Cole's just GEELI peeking out wide there with a knife, not expecting players to already be on that approach.
This is a nice call though from Lev, just re-clearing this spot with the contact, knowing that G2 are likely to back away. The satchel from Aspas might have given the game away here though.
Oh, Trent, Odin in his hands. Lots of bodies.
Oh,
the wall's up
bye.
still. That's a classic
Oh,
play.
bye.
Ready for that one as well.
This is now worrying because showstopper to get in.
आसपास के पास अल्ट है बे.
G2 have got to prod up some resistance here.
Looks more than winnable. Paranoia flying. Aspas. He's not shying away. He's brought down.
Ulti नहीं मारा रे
His
उसने.
old as well. Showstopper here with a rocket. Rebounding, potentially waiting, and it does strike back. Even anticipating that re-swing through the smoke. It's all heads up, and there was danger there.
आसपास ने अल्ट
Josh,
क्यों
you're
नहीं मारा
right.
लेकिन.
But it's all navigated quite perfectly.
ब्लाइंड के बाद रुक के अल्ट मारना चाहिए था ना.
Shutting down Aspas as he goes for that. It's nice pathing from Aspas. He gets hit by the paranoia and blastbacks a small way into sight.
Right,
Anticipating that it
will
wasn't being
have
held,
new slot.
And Icy
Oh.
was there to back up Valen. So far, G2 are calling really nice defensive setups.
अब अच्छा प्लेयर कौन लगता है ओवरऑल भाई बहुत सारे प्लेयर्स आए बे टीम हेरिटेज देख लो
Catching these
कितना सेक्सी
opportunities
खेल
and
रहा
putting
है
the pressure onto
ग्रुप
Leviatan.
कितना सेक्सी खेल रहा है
Things here though
G2 कितना
start to
सेक्सी
reset
खेल रहा
again.
है कितने
Lev
सारे
have
टीम्स
ult
आए कितने
advantages.
सारे
They can
प्लेयर्स
start
आए
that snowball going once more. Big ultimate for
आज
G2.
जेंटलमैन्स क्या
Leave
सेक्सी
yourself
खेला
here. How is he going to be escaping from the either way? I mean, it's 1-for-1, but Leaf does so well
And
to even get
Mazzino.
it in the first place.
Mazzino is so deep. He Omen ulted way into spawn.
Into the back line. Trent spots him though. Smoke drops down. It will cover the retreat at least, but he is, I mean, just behind enemy lines entirely expecting it. In fact, here
भाई
it
वो
is. With
बीटी
a
दे
satchel
दिया
play. He
वो
knew that Icy was on that high ground angle, and he has caught a timing of a lifetime.
अकेले ने राउंड
Trying
निकाला
to
थे
clear this guy out of position, and it's just crumbled
अकेले ने
and
राउंड निकाला
tumbled
क्यों नहीं
out of
चेक
the
किया
hands
लेफ्ट
of
में
G2.
उनको लगा निकल गया क्या बेस में
That's a chaotic round. We've seen Mazzino go for those all the time. He was running that strat constantly on Leviatan last year.
Years ago.
And people were dealing with it really easily. But there, throwing the smoke
ऐसा
for
होगा
himself, playing
तुम्हें
inside
जाने
of it.
VCT किल पाएगा
Wonderful punish off of
ये
Icy. And this,
ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए
another bizarre, chaotic way to open the round. Nice from Leaf to dominate the attack.
प्रीमियर
and smoke.
चैंपियनशिप कभी
It's about
VCT
the only
नहीं
way
जाना
that you're going to be able to stop
प्रीमियर
them.
बहुत लो लेवल
A very aggressive approach from
Essential
Leaf.
champions
Normally
जो
we
जा रहे हैं वो बराबर
wouldn't really be a fan of the Killjoy player getting up and aggressive playing in
format
front of their
बराबर.
setup. But I think it's justified in a round where the attackers have crazy ults to work with.
I agree. I think if you can try and force it out, maybe go 1-for-1 in that scenario, it does make it winnable. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case because they couldn't deal with Mazzino.
Exactly. Mazzino just creates all the chaos and wins the round single-handedly because G2 fumbled the attempt to deal with him.
Yeah.
But I find it difficult to assess where we're at with this half so far.
It is hard.
Because we've had such blowout attack sides. Almost every time we've seen Lotus be played in Americas recently. People have been getting 8, 9, 10, no problem. I mean, 11 sometimes as well.
And then comebacks occurring anyway.
Yep. So, G2 getting 3 already out of 7, I think this is looking pretty decent for them. They're going to have another period later on in the half where they catch up with the ults as well. So even if Lev can build up a bit of momentum, I think G2 should be sitting pretty, especially with how well Valen called on Icebox.
I think that's carried forwards here.
अभी का जो generation है ना मेरे हिसाब से एक ही चीज है
stress ना ले the decisiveness I think as well that G2 are making
as long as वो लोग ज़्यादा
decisions to take fights together. There's always the confidence there. Was missing on Breeze.
Gucci.
Horn one way, thrown over towards Mound. Leviatan, this is their classic way of being able to take it. Sometimes go for the one way, sometimes go for the closer smoke. It's actually the positioning here of Icy that I'm paying close attention to, because you can use your nade positioning to counter the lockdown. And again, the defenders have got to be thinking about those attack side ultimates. And you've got a great opportunity to do like a bounce nade.
Is too good in attack. What is that? DFM improvement.
Bouncing it off the corner there.
I get the point though.
And you can also try to do the same thing over towards B if you get a good read on where Lev are going.
Attack अच्छा
Thinking ahead, trying to get one step ahead really of the lockdown in case it could become a problem. Not really too many good places to use it over towards A, so just the one way to cover Valen.
And this is supposed to be dragging players over. Lev applying that pressure to A, it's supposed to be pulling people, but Valen's opened the door, see that there's nobody there, and he's calling the C hit already.
Oh yeah.
Excellent anticipation from Valen.
Very, very ready for it. What ults will even be offloaded?
30 seconds left.
So Nader trying to take the initiative forward here with a seize, and they collapse. Right through the choke point. That is a cacophony of util enough.
You should run.
Makes a foul concoction, but with all that expended, the lockdown now has a bit of freedom to get used. Still, the plant does need to go down here. And time was running short still. It clears the way, all the way through, even connecting onto that kill into Leaf. I don't know why he's taking that fight out wide.
He's trying to break the lockdown there. He realized the lockdown was in a position where he could break it through the door, and he decided to send it.
So doubled up, smoke up, cuts up the angle. One more approach away for G2. Paranoia's good though, Satchel.
Oh, what?
Mazzino, no way! Oh, he's just gliding through the sight, slicing him as Icy's going through the air.
What a player to step up and make his impact felt. He single-handedly wins one of the previous rounds by using his Omen ult, and this time navigates the near sight. What is this?
There's no
Tracking Icy through the air whilst running backwards.
No way.
He's so good in those scrappy moments.
It's on a nice edge that round was. Never find that footing. TP forwards. Valen, you really seek to try and refight this one and not even thinking about it. Mazzino again, the difference maker. You've got to have an extra layer. I think if you're going to try and fight a rubble like that, expecting at least that there could be a player. Take up that space and positioning. Valen risks to be taken, and he knows it. Almost going for it. Speaking of risks as well, Leaf, look at this guy.
Trying to make the hero play. Down 3v4, knows that he can't make a normal defense work. Jonah on an off angle, another kind of hero setup.
Should get traded immediately, surely. Surely, locking it, ADS, Bulldog! That is just binding up to pieces! Shredded in place! Decayed vulnerability, all applying at the end there. Oh, he should have been traded immediately.
These defense players are so willing to take risks, and it is catching Lev off. Despite the best efforts of Mazzino. What is this? Aspas looking to clear the box. It's the kill on King that's the most surprising in my opinion. King should have been able to whip through that wall.
Yeah.
And you see glee and a bit of disbelief writ large on the face of Josh RT.
Crucial था 2 crucial round ये लोग तो थ्रो किया जिसमें next round इको था वरना ये लोग कितना होता था मालूम है स्कोर अभी
G2 this half. I mean, it's steadily becoming just an absolutely brilliant one.
2 or 8-2.
Like you said earlier,
कुछ
they've
रहते थे ये
given
लोग
all the 9-3s, 8-4s, whatever else we've seen one-sided in the favor of the attackers. Still could go into that
8-2
direction.
भी
But
नहीं 9-2 हो
that's an
जाते थे
interesting one.
That's unfortunate. Lee pulls it back.
Yeah, recalls the alarm out anyway.
नहीं 5 है ना sorry 8-2
Tex though, opening kill found there.
नहीं
Towards the
7-2
B
वो 2
side.
round
That's a
और
great
अभी
shot.
जो एक और
Jonathan
रहता
was
था
just
वो
jiggling to get a snake bite now. He
तो
must have
8-2 हो जाते थे
barely shown himself.
2 crucial round
Sent the
throw
G2
हुआ है
players scattered a little bit, I think, wondering where else Lev might have worked their way up through.
But once
Lev
again,
करो
G2 are getting
ये
a
jinx
really
करने
nice
वाला है
lead
नहीं
on
रे
this.
Lev जीतने वाला
Understanding
है
that it's not an instant pivot into B. They've got 3 players ready to defend A.
आसपास ये round मारेगा था 3
Making the right call.
I'm very impressed.
Paranoia through the door there, Valen.
दरवाजा तोड़ के बीड़ी पीने जा रहे हो
Just
लोग
cuts it up with a smoke of his own here. This is excellent, to be honest. And even close quarters, action spraying and praying, but Icy is rewarded for it. And now that quick pivot, they hear the door being broken. Mazzino is going to be this extra backstabber lurking angle. Hearing it now, and he's got the ultra as well. Disengage entirely. He's backing away and through into the main angle. Leaf. It's going to be fast through with this one. G2 as well. It's a double point attempt to Leaf. It's none the wiser. Didn't expect Mazzino to be repositioning there with a pivot. Placed down, sitting nice and pretty onto that B site. This is now just an impossibility for G2 to decay.
भाई ये मैप मजीनो के नाम bro
Already kicking in here for Trent.
Barely dodged the snake bite. Yeah. It should be too much.
You've got to give it up.
ये मैप मजीनो के
They're
नाम
going to look to save because these 2 players are the only ones with poor credits. The rest of G2
पड़ गई
combined.
कॉलेज में तंडक जिंक्स
And as long as they
करके
keep bleeding out ults and putting themselves in good positions to win these rounds, it's going to end up being a decent defense half. They're chasing, Lever chasing, they're hunting.
One of these kills, they know the money's running low. You can hold tab and see it.
That's close.
Yeah, he's going to be safe, surely.
He almost got caught by the spike.
Almost, but...
Another really nice
भाई
play from
अल्ट है
Mazzino.
नहीं ये लोग के पास
They have to cancel the A hit. Oh, it was through the smoke as well. That's ridiculous, the kill on Jonah P. But yeah, Mazzino, you know, they have to cancel the A hit, pivot into B, acts as that insert in tree, gets the pick, Omen ults away, and Leaf's broken the turret, so he is ready, posted up.
I love the mixture as well of players stepping up to the challenge.
Tex अब badly try कर रहा है मैं बोला ना Tex का impact नहीं रहेगा
It's
ये
nice gameplay.
पहले बोला
outcome that many
ये
of us
मैप
were really
वैसा वाला
expecting.
मैप
I
नहीं
mean,
है
Lev looked like they were just absolutely dog walking
तो
most of
बहुत
America, to be
restricted है
honest,
वो
with the
क्या
turnaround they've
कर
had. But this is G2 holding a candle to them still. But is that lead steady for Lev? Jiggling the angle here. I see with the nade and C's as well. It's combo. Seen Sentinels running something very similar. No connection there with a tether.
Tiny bit of chip damage onto Aspas.
2 B पे तो मालूम है थोड़ा नॉइस कट करके B जा सकते हैं
Off the back of Mazzino TPing, I think, is what they chose to use it. Lev have found out there's that slight gap now over towards the A side, so they're working.
अरे Odin power
Leafs holding it, just slight pixel angle here. It's straight down with the Odin. Only a bit of damage though.
Very cool angle.
What is that?
That's so nice. It's an angle where the Odin can do damage, but you can't really get counter spammed. Penetration just not good enough with the Phantom or a Vandal.
There's hesitation in the left camp. They're calling for which direction to even go into here with a Paranoia to really just supplement and help with the supportive util, waiting for that wall to go down. Mazzino, he wins the fight out eventually. Icy dealt with. TP across, they realize that they've got access to that B side. Only a few players to really have to worry about. Trent up into heaven, and the back's against it as well.
This is not going to be a free retake, even though G2 have a
निकाल
player
तो सकते हैं यार
advantage.
3-4
Lev have space, they're taking position over towards Waterfall, and it's a good plan for both them and Mazzino. Could easily be another round where Mazzino pulls out magic.
Who's it going to be swinging into in terms of the favor? I mean, Texas going walkabouts into their own spawn here, but the door opens wide. There's a fight. Snake bite.
Mazzino wasn't quite ready.
Yeah, Mazzino wasn't ready for it, but he's going to be spraying through. 6 bullets, got to reload. Another fight comes through. There's a horn to set that one up. Now forwards. Tex still onto the angle.
Mazzino को जाना भी को मारना था.
Standing, not for much longer. G2.
5-6.
They even this up here on their Lotus defensive sides, honestly. It's going to be really just a lights out finish for the first half.
Got to agree. Got to agree.
Chen का लाउड से जितने पास है नहीं सेम का दोनों इजी मैचेस हैं
They interrupted all of those
सेम
moments
का
where the
दोनों अभी
momentum
इजी
could have
मैचेस हैं लिख
overwhelmed
के
them.
रखो 10-4
And
to
even
जाने
bringing
वाला है
out
और
really cool
क्वालिफाई
stuff
भी
like
करना
that.
वाला है.
I don't think I've seen that angle before for an Odin player, but it's a really nice one.
I've just seen PaperX play it.
Yeah,
I think Forsaken when he picks up the
Watchparty का permission लेना पड़ता है क्या?
I
हाँ.
could definitely believe that. The economy not good. 2 stingers for Lev's
GT
top
win क्या
fraggers.
Bunks भाई?
And the ults.
नहीं, Lev
Cherry on top
जीतेगा.
of G2. Again, another one of these angles. that just
आसपास और
put yourself
बुटाएगा,
on
ult
shoot, nobody
मारेगा.
steps into it.
यहाँ पे लीफ अल्ट मारेगा, आसपास उसका अल्ट तोड़ेगा.
Side set forwards though. Aspas, showstopper, slowed down with a bullet tag. Has to commit the rocket though. It's just a 1-for-1 in terms of the ults going
अब
out
वहाँ से
and
आएगी
wide. The bullet
ulti,
tag.
IC की.
One with the nades, he's a little bit delayed.
G2's flood defense here is going to be massive.
एक
Nightfall,
ulti.
showstopper, how to Lev hold on?
They're so fast through it, I see. This rocket
ये
could
थोड़ा
be the
left right
difference
हुआ.
maker. They would have taken the fight straight to them, just holding and locking down that choke point. That is the waterfall angle. Or the tails and trails are not going to be stopping them. I mean, the sound cues cut away. It matters not for them.
थोड़ा जल्दी चला गया
Bow
IC मेरे
down,
हिसाब
what a
से.
round from King. Incredible shutdown and
थोड़ा
a
जल्दी
2K
चला
to
गया.
boot.
You're choking.
I think it's still an excellent defense half from G2. But Lev have just stolen one
क्या
back
करना
at the
चाहिए था
final
पता
hour.
है?
And the money
पेट
was
ने अल्ट मारा,
barely any ults
तीस
to
नेट
work
कॉम्बो
with.
किया.
And yeah, it's a 7-5
फिर
finish. Flawless in
ओमेन
the
को सबसे
end.
पहले टीपी मारना
It
चाहिए
probably
था.
should have been a slam dunk there with
ये वो लोग
Nightfall
को sound नहीं
showstopper coming
आएगा.
through from Waterfall.
You know,
और
imagine.
ओमेन
I want
पिक
to see a
करेगा
replay.
तो
I
वो
want to
फ्री
see
फायर
him
अल्ट
get
मार
shot onto
सकता है.
Icy and then followed up with another 2.
It's just
अगर
insanity.
नहीं किया तो भी उनका ए मिलेगा.
A great,
तो
great
रेस को
finisher
मारना
there.
इतना इजी नहीं, लेकिन थोड़ा डीप हो गया वो.
Look at that. Yeah, just not watching for the angle. I mean, just cuts us up and around the pillar.
Just the timing. You see
Yeah.
it from Icy's POV. Just doesn't see King at all.
Game of that time well. Who the hell knows what's going to be happening into the second half here? Realistically, I mean, G2,
देख
they
दी
have set
मेरी
themselves
जान
up
के
very nice and pretty up for their own
टोटे.
attack side rounds. I'll send it down to Liz. It's down on the floor with some special G2
कैसा
fans.
रिट्जी?
And
रिट्जी
those
तो इतना
special
सुबह
G2
सुबह क्या
fans
करता
are
है रे?
Nicole and Jason, the parents of the superstar player Trent from G2. Yes, give it up, because this has been back and forth nail biting. Nicole, I'm gonna come to you first.
भाई कैसा
What is it
ऑडियंस
like
है बे?
being here in the arena watching your
जरा
son
सपोर्ट
play?
नहीं किया.
I'm a nervous wreck. Like I just it's crazy. It's crazy. I just want them to do well and play their best, and hopefully they come out on top all the time, right? So yeah.
I mean, I was watching you guys say, shoot, 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 shoot. It's this excitement. So I feel like if you're the excited one,
The blue
what are
family,
you?
na
Are you
lekin.
like the calm, cool, collected one? Are you more excited?
I try to be, but I'm pretty excited. It was a very fun journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the dad with a cool hat. See, that says Trent. Look at it right there. Beautiful. Nice embroidery. Now, I was talking to you guys before, and I'm a big
Hello,
believer
Trent
in
को superstar बोला
learning who
इसलिए
has
भी.
sacrificed what.
हरामी लोग हैं.
You, as the parents of Trent, what have you sacrificed for him to achieve his dream of being a professional player?
Parenting, like he's basically like done it all himself. Like we're so proud of him. He made this all happen for himself. We just support him. Like we're just right behind him, cheering him on, and he's just making his dreams come true. And he's doing it all, you know. So happy for him.
When did you realize as a parent that, oh, I might be the mother or father of a superstar?
Well, that would be when he came to us and said, "Hey, I got a contract you have to sign," you know, because I'm not 18 yet, and I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about, but let's sit down and figure it out." You know, we had no idea, We were blindsided.
Oh,
So now you kind of like understand the game of Valorant, and you're like, all right, now you get it, all right. Yeah, now we get it. Now we have a game of Valorant to get back to, so casters, please take it away.
The blue bay, the blue
I mean,
parents.
that's very funny to me. Trent just coming out of nowhere. Here's the contract, legally binding, 30 pages. You need to look through this.
I think that's a
As
story
awesome players,
we've heard
even
many times with many of the pro players too. Turning that hobby into a career.
जी का लेकिन मिस्टेक
And
थोड़ा भारी पड़
becoming,
गया रे
a
टैलेंट के
household
सामने
name in
ना.
American Valorant for sure.
PRX के सामने तो छोड़ो, मतलब नहीं
Both
था,
of these
मतलब
Fade players
expected ही
playing
नहीं.
the more supportive roles
जितना भी खेले
have
मतलब
not had
अच्छे
those
था, वो
enormous
एक्सपीरियंस के लिए गेम
impact
था,
rounds just yet.
सीखने के लिए गेम था.
Delayed
लेकिन
one
टैलेंट
up
वाला
and over
ऐसा
the
गेम
top.
था जो जीत
Broken.
सकता.
As we get into the pistol.
Eddie.
So much damage.
That is brave. A lot of damage done. Lucky to be alive there. Barely skirting past. Turret gone and done and dealt with the haunt as well. So it sets up
Heavy
Icy
retake
nice and
करेगा
deep into
left.
this angle. Man down two.
That's
Fan of this
always
position.
silent.
You can play the post plant in a variety of ways. Tree control becomes important as well. Valent's going to be that first line of defense.
हमारे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बोलते हैं घर से निकाल देते हैं. बोलेंगे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में जो नंबर लिखा रहेगा
It's
ना
Leaf's positioning actually that I'm
नहीं निकालेंगे
paying
तेरे को
attention
उसके
to
बाद
because he's going to be able to
Fix it.
backstab the LEV players when they go for the retake.
Here comes Lev. Nade flying forwards. Doesn't really set him up nicely for that fight here, but Mazino is going to be rapid. Right through the approach there, but not expecting it. Jonah P. Touch corner. Right click's not doing it, but just down to King. Only 48 health. He's got to spot out multiple players. Finds the kill, but already the time's ticking. Already drifting away from him.
Trent bolte, Mom Dad Buff bolte.
And locked up by Trent. A great opener for G2 there. We talked about the fact that 5 rounds on defense of Lotus. Already in the current meta, that's looking great. But to add a pistol round on top, G2, they might be behind technically, but they're in control of this game right now.
Valorant Esports. ऐसा कौन वीडियो बना है? क्या? क्या बात कर रहा है?
Great value. I think a lot of people would be anticipating him getting gapped in this by Aspas. And that just doesn't happen. Yeah, Aspas played phenomenally on Breeze, but map 2 and map 3, Icey's been right there. Blow for blow.
Putting up the numbers.
So this is a little different. Jonah using his Viper Orb to create that pressure over towards Mound. Swapping around the Omen and the Viper's responsibilities, Valen and Jonah.
Interesting way to take it as well.
Yeah, I think it's quite cool for your Seaside default actually, because you can drop the orb whenever you like. I like that element to their game.
भाई ये तो बहुत गलत है बे बहुत मतलब strong at so many levels.
Start making moves over to a different direction. Leaf's also going to be seeing if he can probably get too much space done. Or work down over towards B on that side. Now Lev have caught a stack. It's a gamble from them, but might come up correct. Just depends on how much poking and prodding I think the rest of G2 do. They don't want anything to do with that.
It's a little unusual to end B against
बोलते
weaker
हैं यार
weaponry.
ऐसा नहीं है वो लोग कर रहे ग्रो कुछ ना कुछ चेंजेस करेंगे
that you're not really worried.
फर्स्ट टीम में करके कोई नहीं बोलेगा impossible
Due diligence shown.
very sad
Clears a path. You're taking baby door.
And this is another situation where
Placing sentry.
I think Lev just want to throw themselves into the spike. I don't think you want to allow those ult orbs to get harvested for the attackers.
Because then you go into the flow chart, and then it's a bonus round. They might have some ults to work with.
Yeah, and even though G2 did take the fight on the second round, I think they did it. They kind of made it more difficult for themselves. Even though they did win out in those later situations where they stopped the avalanche, it required a bit of magic.
Yeah, Trent's going to go hunting. He's 3 away. It's a big one. He will go down, but it's still 2 away now from that one. And G2 will.
नहीं मैटर करता भाई 5 साल और एक भी गेम ना जीते.
Yeah, this isn't going to do terrible
बाकी लोग
damage.
जाए मेहनत
But I
करे
think
पहुंचे
it is
उधर.
good that Lev have just thrown themselves into the maw there. Yeah.
Please
Who's the
playing
closest to a no?
BGMI.
I think it's Trent with his
It is Trent,
Nightfall.
yeah, he's 2 away.
Yeah, and 2 away. Probably, like most of the time, I don't think you're going to have that available this round. Now, we did see
Okay,
G2's
qualify,
defense be
they'll win
really,
both
really
the
passive in round
matches.
3.
Next, both the matches.
So, I want to see a change from that from Lev. But you can definitely feel that they're
Ritzy
thinking
bhai kya
about
bole?
that.
Kidhar
Like,
gaye?
just the way that they've even played round 14 here. They're conscious of the fact that they don't want to be feeding G2.
Yeah.
So a force buy from Leaf.
Knocking down the money. He's going to be holding.
Aspas denying that C orb, or at least making an attempt to.
In fact, Lev doing it on both sides of the map. I mean, look at this deep position of Mazino.
Yeah, I've missed whether or not they've already taken the A orb, actually. They may have done that. And of course, if you've taken it, then you can give up that space in the mid-round and you're not so bothered.
G2 going for that A-Rob will retake though. They put a cross-map molly.
It is still there, the ult orb.
Snake bites. Some out wide.
And Aspas is drifted. Was defending C.
Zeno, I mean, they just cleared this with a snake bite. They might not even expect him to already be in there. Oh, he's in the elevation. Spotted him, backs away. TP might be necessary here, at least to disengage.
He was literally in another world. I mean, Omen players getting jump scared as they come out of their smoke animation.
You can probably relate to that.
Look at the positioning here of Com.
Door opens. About 40 seconds to the mark now for G2 to start to make some movement around the map. Nade forwards here, but they haven't cleared out. Com! This guy is tearing them apart across 5 set of Valen. There's that response. He's been softened up down to 7 HP.
30 seconds left.
Does have the spike, but just yet not anticipating that position. So Lev winning the round. That gun advantage.
And I didn't misspeak actually at the start of the round. I thought it was only Leaf that had forced, but Leaf and Valin both forced in that what should have been, I think, a bonus. And now their economy's in a bit of an unusual spot again. Teams not playing these pure bonuses, and it's hurting them. Nice bait and switch setup though for Lev on defense. Com only had one kill, I think, in the first half. Playing very supportively.
If you are spending
and now he's
so
starting
much money
to find
behind a
more
team
opportunities to have impact.
And doing your work to get there, you should technically not get
Up
abused.
from G2, but Aspas taking punch shots, and heads will roll. It's answered, but honestly, the damage has been done here by Aspas already. Might be able to receive a rifle.
If Tex goes down,
upgrade. Tex though, it's the off-angle play.
God,
making himself that easy sitting duck.
And a pointless hypothetical there. If Tex goes down, he's good for it.
Valorant अब कब से खेलने बंद हुआ है? जब भी आया launch हुआ.
The third map, you know, it's slow to heat up. I think hasn't really had that same level of impact that we've seen from some of the other players in the squad.
ये round अगर जीत गया Lev तो जीत गया.
But Lev's win in round 15 has really changed the tide of this
एक
game.
bullet में उसने दो मारे. Vandal के.
Rifles finally back for G2. Valin actually ended up buying down again in this round. So he's coming in with a build-up again. Mismanaging the economy a bit here for G2.
Yeah. They're just prioritizing the full armor, I think, as well, just in case Aspas is going for an outlaw purchase, which he's known to do. Aspas on the other side of the map, he's already got his ult on through the A side, so that should trigger some response, at least from G2. Valin commits it with the ult as well. He knows he's got that space there, but can't get the kill. And the Prowler was just chasing. Biting away at the heels.
He knows that both of these players anchoring on C have no audio because of the nightfall.
This retake from Lev now does have some potency behind it, like I said. Well, that A pressure, Valin. He's dropped nice and early into this one. Nade rebounding forwards, but some kills need to be found here on the G2 side. They can't just give all this ground freely gained. Aspas, now is the time to let loose with it. And a rocket makes a racket, not too much more past that. The rifles really seem to be doing most of the work. Tornapedo, plan for Mound, they're still having to clear out these players, and they are doubled up onto it. Really miscommunication, but eventually getting onto it with the defuse, making sure that they can shut down that G2.
It's a nice idea for G2. Nightfall, Omen ult, see if we can set up a play where Valin wins the round, because the headphones have been disabled for the defenders, but he couldn't find his opportunity. Almost got the punish. Instead it was Tex who turned around and dropped his former IGL.
Reveal crazy tha.
A change of fates. Yeah. Some bitter irony. At G2, they were in the driver's seat in, like, you know, round 13, 14. It felt like we could have seen some momentum gained. But that defense side for Lev, they're finding those openings. A reminder that Leviatan's defense on Lotus, when we saw Aspas dropping crazy kills, 47 kills, their defense wasn't that great.
Losing a lot, but honestly, those losses you can learn quite a bit from. G2 take this opportunity to go for a fast B-pop here. Sticking up to the plan, you got to be joking me, man. And it's so rapid in terms of the flirt. Just trying to push them back and away. Spike.
Omen blind nades with
no man's land.
Very similar to what G2 went for themselves.
Yeah, they did.
The nightfall insta-flood into B.
Great away to sound cues. I mean, G2, they don't know when to actually take those timings to try and fight them and push them back. They don't know what's occurring.
And you're there so quickly before the plant can even hit the ground. A great way of keeping G2 reeling.
Love staying more than competitive here. 50 seconds into this round. It'll take a miracle. Noise made. Re-clears caught by Lev. But even though the Valen's got this rifle here forwards, paranoia. Good connection. Tripled up as well. They're really leaving no gaps. A single crumb. So Lev here up to 11.
Are you
the 7 rounds that G2 have got, and you know, for as much as we were talking about how good that half was for G2, timeout to be taken, I completely agree with, because they're really running out of chances.
They got a slot, no?
4 rounds in a row now for Leviatan. And I agree.
ऐसे के बाद ही तो जाएगा Pacific.
G2 were in the ascendancy. It was looking like they had an opportunity to get a massive scalp here. And instead, this chance at an upset against Lev is slipping further away from them. Sen fans rejoicing.
Apparently so. Just at least to give them any chance to get themselves in the playoffs. But
and a reminder that these kind of games are actually pivotal.
Last round लेना चाहिए था रे वो लोग का thought process सेम था स्पाइक भी रेस के पास था देखा रेस को प्लांट करके अल्ट करके कुछ करना था लेकिन बाकी लोग क्यों साइड में नहीं गए हेल्प करने का पता नहीं एटलीस्ट प्लांट लेने तक का हेल्प करना चाहिए था
And G2, they're 2-1 right now. If they lost this game,
they
would have the same record as
Sentinels
at the bottom.
That like कर दो यार
And no guarantee that there would be more than the average amount sent from the Alpha group.
Yeah.
And the desk were talking about how the rules
There's all
work.
sorts of possibilities.
Yeah, there's still a lot of different ways that these groups can shake out.
Right now the focus is all on this map. All on this match, this series.
मजूने को देखो 10 असिस्ट 19 किल भाई ये मैप उसके नाम पे ब्रो भले बाकी पूरी टीम मार रही है लेकिन
tools are available here for G2
बहुत इम्पैक्ट है 5-6 राउंड मजाक नहीं है भाई
Mixing things up. King was defending over towards C. Now he's moved A to give Tex the backup. So rotating that defensive setup. Lev play for mount control. Open the door. Now they have front B control. Happy to drive the whole of G2 into A.
Oh, they want to fight this. Leaf. Oh, he's just found him. The one lurking player playing in that position and angle, and the entirety of A now opens up for him on top of it. I see. He's going to have that ult to showstopper. Does he choose to use it here? Yes. Maybe to offset it at least. Make it a nice and even. Flying forwards. Maybe not the intended target, but I think he was just hoping it would catch onto someone. And now, shoes on the other foot. G2 find themselves advantaged here into the post, still holding those close positions. It's up to Lev really to use that Utah to try and clear it. It's a Paranoian peak, and that is beautiful. Mazino, good timing and discipline taken with it. Satchel forward from Aspas. Smoke up, horn broken. Close corner by Valin, not anticipated. And this guy falling their side here. Leave it to Aspas once more, but it is an unwinnable situation. It should be in all likelihood, and he recognizes it. Up and away, satcheling. Needs to keep this guy. Not entirely the end of the world if he does lose it. 5.8k to his name, but still, G2 hunting down the kills.
Lev's game plan on defense worked. They cleared out the lurker and drove the hit into A. But what they weren't anticipating was that Icy would be able to find a pick with the showstopper and then cement himself nicely onto it. They found 2 kills here. You know, one onto King, and then immediately afterwards, the showstopper came through. And then didn't clear the site thoroughly. Mazino still had Paranoia to work with and was just, you know, running forwards to tap the spike, expecting that G2 had fallen all the way back. Big rubble fight now.
Massive one. This one could just turn the tide and fighting all the way through. I mean, listen, lit up like beacons here, but no kills really to be collected. Running through them before that util, and then just choked.
Too much util.
Can't get past the snake bites.
Starting के fight में अगर attacker नहीं घुस गई,
entire chamber expended there.
Yo, that is a nasty anti-strat from Leviatan. They're throwing down Mazino's smoke so that Aspas can hide inside of it and dodge the haunt. Look at the difference in value that the haunt gets there in that rubble fight. The attacker's horn is designed to try to light up Aspas when he goes forwards. Look, Aspas is inside the smoke here. Dodges the haunt. Meanwhile, he's fighting somebody that's lit up, and then Mazino teleports up on top.
1-2 punch.
Sick play that Lev have not brought out very much here.
Crazy
and using it at the final hour to get them up to match point.
And that has got to be
ऐसा rubble fight नहीं ले सकते.
Like you said, match point. Map point. This is it. Mazino breaking
that
retake
rubble fight ज़्यादा
them. A pit drop down towards C. The avenues closing away here.
बहुत गलत counter हो
गया. To ferry and push G2 right towards them. Got a stack of players over towards B. They haven't lost control of rubble at all. Nano Swarms making sure it's clear that alarm bot. It is commonly placed.
Leaf takes lockdown. And how do you run it here? No matter where you put it, it's going to be right next to King's ultimate.
Owner का भाई
You've got to try to push King back, lockdown, and then punish him if he goes for it.
उससे बात करके बहुत अच्छा लगा था.
With a minute left here, again, you're taking your time with this one. The back of my mind, I'm worried for G2. Aspas of a showstopper.
Yeah, I think no matter where Leaf tries to get this ult off, Aspas is going to be kind of tracking them around the map, seeing how to counter it.
Through 2-0 लिख के रखो. Next match करेंगे नहीं रे मेरा family आ रहा है यार.
And I think Aspas is going to realize this in a moment.
दोपहर को फैमिली आ रहा है तो मैं अगर 8 बजे तक स्ट्रीम करेगा ना मेरी नींद के लग जाएगी फिर फैमिली के बाद वॉच पार्टी नहीं कर
Look at this guy, I mean, just sends flying for the nade. Will get out, so he's not quite detained. Trent is beamed down in the approach. And he has to detain, but Icy needs to follow through with this one. He needs a few more kills right into the choke point. There goes the nade. It just prevent that one with the pit drop down. Now the showstopper. Aspas. He's finding that value, finding that work down. 3 left to stand for G2. And the hopes and dreams of this series. They stand, and they might just fall right here, right now. But G2 from the more almost pulling it back into their hands. And it turns just like that. Aspas again left in this spot in a 1v3. Has to give it up. So tenuous between these two teams. Just didn't know which direction it's going to go into here, but G2 looking to breathe another day.
I think that's another one of those situations, Brent, where running at Aspas with the showstopper and forcing it out early is the play that's running G2 around. They can't afford for the showstopper to counter the pit. You know, if Aspas runs forward with the showstopper and everyone on G2 cowers and hides, he's going to get a ridiculous ult off. And instead,
जो घर पिंकी का ब्लॉग मैं देखा वो मेरा पुराने घर है नया इंटीरियर्स किया इसलिए न्यू होम इसके बाद जो घर लेंगे वो नया घर वो न्यू होम रहेगा अपना
Tag timeout for Leviatan, who are up on match point. They've had 4 opportunities, or rather, they have 4 opportunities. One of them now gone. 3 left.
What do you call this timeout as well? I mean, how many use ults to really even just fight back here? G2
बड़े लोगों में उठना बैठना चलता है.
You can try to run trap plays off the ult orbs. I'm actually a little surprised that they haven't tried to do that at any point. Yeah. We have not seen. What were we talking about as Lev's biggest strength in the game against NRG? It was the defense re-clears. We've actually not seen many of those. We haven't seen them lose mount control, take front B, and do a trap play into mount. You know, where they re-clear with a paranoia or that kind of thing. We haven't seen them put Mazzino into tree and do a horn paranoia re-clear of rubble. We've not seen any of those kind of strategies come out from Lev. And I think identifying this round as one where Trent is 1 away from Nightfall, pick an ult orb, do a kind of trap play off the back of it where you re-clear that space. I think that'd be a really nice idea to go for.
You might have read your minds here. Side by side, Mazzino and Aspas over towards C, looking to contest this one. It's a one-way. Pre-place, looking like Aspas as well.
Mazzino's positioning here is really nice to see over the top of any kind of orb, any kind of smoke that G2 used to take mount.
Everyone is like
said that actually, it doesn't really work as well with the Viper.
What's crazy is full family.
Doubled up though, off angles from Lev. Guns, barrels might be spotted. This game of timing is just brutal. G2 picked to pieces here as they look to just re-aggress over towards A, and they just don't expect King. The bait and switch play. Straight from the playbook of Lev. I mean, they pulled this one out earlier.
It's great. They dominate both ult orbs in the fight. C fought 4, A fought 4, and Tex, he gets that opportunity to drive the dagger into the back of G2. It's left down to Trent and Jonah P.
ये map लेकिन मजीनो bro.
It's not possible.
ये map
Lev
थोड़ा कम
navigated
मजीनो.
these difficulties. Where are you? And it's all
wrapped up.
बहुत
35 seconds left in the round. Contact plays in order here just to try and find any sort of advantage in the round, but it is wrapped up. Surely it should be. It's a mountain to overcome here, but Lev tested, pushed. Trent finds it. At least 1 kill to stay alive. A bit of breathing room into the round, but not surely the series tapping. Not even sticking here into it. Paranoia's face. Wide face. Mazzino.
अकेले बंदे ने इस मार. भाई मजीनो MVP है. ये map मजीनो के नाम पे.
But they come out on top, and with that, I believe, locking up their playoff spot.
This map is all on Mazzino. All.
Great work here for Leviatan. Showing that different people can take over the game as well. It's Mazzino that gets the final kill, and he had so many huge moments.
Yeah.
A player that was heavily criticized.
Too.
Yeah. The ult.
Full matlab full.
Hiding inside the smoke.
Yeah.
Couple of big rounds. He's tracking on IC to deny.
चलो guys, good night. अभी मारते हैं कल्टी, लेकिन क्रू वर्सेस लाउड में देखते सोने वाला हूँ. तो तुम लोग भी देखना, मिस आउट मत करना, बहुत सेक्सी मैचेस जा रहे। तो जो लोग फ्री है, लेट्स वॉच क्रू वर्सेस लाउड टुगेदर। प्रेडिक्शन सिंपल है भाई, 2-0 क्रू, 2-0। इस बार लाउड मेरे हिसाब से नहीं कर पाएगी। अच्छा ठीक है, चलो बाय 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 चटको, बाय बाय देवशिटीज, चलो बाय 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 बाय, टेक केयर, गुड नाइट, बाय बाय।